So everybody knows there's copies of all the paperwork and bills here if anybody wants to peruse it. Treasurer's reports, account balances, meeting minutes from April.
Yes, minutes.
That's minutes from April.
Did he have copies of the treasury report or just one?
No, there's multiple things if you need. You guys, I don't know if you got that.
No.
No. They won't hear for the public, they won't sit down. I don't know if there's enough space.
Jason.
I'm sorry, let's
All right, so now.
Can Charlie have the list of the bills he paid?
No, we have regular.
List per se.
Go through it.
And he did a full.
Personal finance account. Fire tax account.
I already forgot.
What was this for?
This is just all of our account balances of the various accounts.
Liquid fuels, Borough loan, UCC, but yeah, you're right, he doesn't have the fire fund in here.
Can we call it meeting to order, please? Stand for allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Charlie, I basically has COVID, so we must have a secretary, so we need to appoint Ray Woods as the assistant secretary. Charlie provided everything, he put it out on the porch for him, so he would be exposed, but we entertain a motion to hire Ray Woods as the assistant secretary so that we can proceed with borough business.
I make a motion to hire Ray Woods as the assistant secretary.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, second. What?
Are we hiring for a specific rate?
Yeah, is it just for this meeting or is it going forward?
No, I think we should, because we don't know with Charlie how long he's going to be out. I think we should have an assistant secretary.
I think
And I
that's
think it
right.
should be,
And I think it should be under the same terms and conditions as
that's
Charlie.
Charlie,
But
absolutely.
it's on an as-needed basis.
Right, as needed, oh, absolutely.
So that would be billing her event.
Right,
Well, I had a motion that we hire you full-time as assistant secretary, and then, so at what rate would you want to be as assistant secretary?
The same, I mean,
Should
I
be the
think
same
the
as
same
Charlie.
rate as the secretary.
Right, the same as Charlie.
On a case by,
Yeah,
or
case.
as needed.
right, as needed, as the same as Charlie,
$375 a month.
$375 for when he's at a meeting,
Well,
right?
let's just leave it at the $375 a month, and whatever if you do for Charlie, then you and Charlie will just have to decide who takes on the rate. We really aren't gonna have the money to hire another full secretary.
Well, no, that's only as he's filling in.
Correct, that's what I'm saying,
Right,
so
so
it'll just be divvied up, but
But in all due respect, Jack, I don't think 375 a month makes sense. If Ray is going to fill in for specific things, like coming to the meeting tonight,
Right.
he certainly needs to be compensated for that.
that's what I'm
It
saying.
wouldn't be 375 if Charlie's back in 2 weeks. I mean, it would seem like that whatever the pay is.
Well, we're gonna have that him and Charlie's gonna work it out if that works out.
Oh, as long as it's 375, they work it out, they're satisfied, we're good.
That's just what my motion was, 375 and Charlie's pay, and you will get part of Charlie's pay. You and Charlie will work it out. That's my motion.
Okay. You entertain the second?
Can I make a suggestion?
Sure.
What if we did $50 to attend the meeting and take the notes? Because I'm gonna hand this all back off to him. And then that way, it's like an easy to understand cost going forward.
Ray, are you going to actually type them up?
I was going to record and hand off to him. I mean, I didn't assume that I would be doing all the work.
I would think that you should make your own minutes while you're here. I think you should make the minutes.
I think that makes sense.
Absolutely,
Because
because you're
then
the
you-
one
you
that's
know,
taking minutes.
Charlie
and doing
here,
all the
right.
work. Yeah, and Charlie's not present, so,
Well, then, let's make it $100 to attend the meeting and generate minutes for the meeting.
correct.
And then
I think that's
he would end
equitable.
up getting, his salary. And this is only for when I need to do it.
Right, I think that's very equitable, because there's a lot of work involved. Does everyone concur?
I'd like to have a motion read back, just
Right.
Okay, so,
totally understand it.
I mean, unless, I'm
I'm
asking
going
if
to,
he would have to
withdraw.
modify it.
We just need a new motion, because my motion is not that motion, so let's just end my motion. Okay, we'll make a different motion, would make more sense.
Hang on a second. If you want to do it by meeting basis, or you want to hire him, I'll say full-time as assistant secretary. That's the question.
And he would be paid commensurate with what meetings he comes to for that $100?
Correct.
That makes sense?
That's why I'm asking,
Right.
which way do you prefer it?
It's still gonna be 375. There's only one meeting a month, supposedly.
Correct,
Right, but then
So
there's
it's
in
gonna
the
be the
interim.
375,
but
and you're not splitting anything with Charlie. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Wood said he wanted $100 to attend the meeting, break the minutes up.
You see, there's a lot more involved with Charlie, a lot of work when he does all the records and everything else, so that's his set salary. But as the assistant secretary, if we make a motion that if he's still the assistant secretary, but he's paid if he's here at the meeting, taking Charlie's place and doing all the work, he asks for $100. If he has to attend a meeting and do Charlie's job at that meeting.
I don't think that's unreasonable. I think that's a reasonable request. His fee he requested is reasonable.
Very,
I think that's reasonable.
We just need a motion that.
Right.
And then he'd be compensated at the rate of $100 for a meeting and to take the minutes and to actually record them. Or to give them
to
the.
make them legal minutes.
So we need someone to make that motion.
I'll make a motion to hire Raymond Wood as assistant secretary to attend the meeting and provide the minutes at $100 per meeting, deducted from Charlie's $375 a month per meeting.
On an as-needed basis.
Okay, as needed.
We've heard the motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Kirk. Is there any discussion about the motion on the floor?
I'd like to have it read back.
So Darrell Haynes made a motion to hire Raymond John Woods II at $100 per meeting deducted from the regular secretary position on an as-needed basis. I'm sorry, as assistant secretary. Does that work? I know I modified it slightly, but.
All those in favor? Chris, state your name, please, and vote.
All names, yes. Yes, Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's so. Constable Dave Sullivan had asked to address the council and the audience.
Okay, this will be short and brief. We've had several meetings, and it's taken 3 hours, costing the borough a fortune. What we're going to ask, which should be normal procedure, not to just blurt out and start hollering during the meeting. President Redden has a public forum option. You can get to ask. She asked for public opinions. Raise your hand and respond. But do not just get upset and start hollering and screaming because it just drags the meeting out. That goes for council members, Mr. Boujay, and everybody in attendance. Does anybody have any questions? Last thing I don't want to have to ask anybody to leave. If she requests someone to leave, I'm going to ask you to leave. Then we'll take it from there.
Thank you. We have the April 4th, 2022 minutes.
Yes. This was the question I was asking earlier. Is it the council members have reviewed this and would approve the minutes as are, or if they have changes, or if you want me to read them all? There's 9 pages of...
I don't think we need to read them, everybody got a chance to.
Everyone has an April minutes, so what, gentlemen, do you concur, or you would rather read, or certain points you want read?
They don't need to be read. from my
Okay.
standpoint.
Then could we entertain a motion to approve the April 4th, 2022 minutes?
I think I need to ask for corrections first. Because I'd like to have the corrections.
Okay.
I'd like to have the motion added, or if you have the motion added that Darrell Haynes and Keith Payne have the authority to write up the specs for the Bucks Falls, Kellogg Road and Penn Hill roads and send to redevelopment. I did not see that in the minutes anyplace. And that motion passed on a 4-3 vote.
So I got.
Yeah, if it's in the minutes, it's not the set that I received.
And the other thing I had a question on, I see a Borough seal on approved minutes. Is that proper or legal?
On approved minutes, on mine, I don't have a seal.
Okay, mine has a seal.
Mine does.
Mine doesn't have a seal. No, they have to be,
Mine doesn't have a spec.
neither does mine.
Right there.
Yeah, mine doesn't have a seal.
No.
I think Charlie might have gotten a little over enthusiastic. Well,
Well,
right.
Well, I know we have a new Borough seal. I don't know what happened to the other one, but none of these that we've received had a seal. Does yours have a seal?
Yeah, mine has a seal on it.
Yeah, because so I don't know why, whether he was trying.
Well, he's a new secretary,
He's
let's
new,
get him
and,
right.
yeah, so,
And I'd like a copy of the minutes with that motion added.
right, because that was a motion made, and then Mr. Boucher did say that you had to bring all the recommendations to the council for approval prior to. That was stated. I mean, oh, I'm sorry,
I
Mr.
have
Williams.
a question regarding that issue. In the April meeting, your solicitor said that it was the president of the council and only the president of the council that could appoint a road committee. Then they went and voted themselves as the road committee, and that's legal? So how is that legal for these minutes that you're trying to add in here?
Not add, that motion was made at the April meeting.
But it's the president of the council, as the lawyer said himself, right there on tape, that only the president of the council can appoint the road committee, or any committee for that matter. So how can you vote to override the president when that's not legal?
What is illegal about it?
Ask your lawyer. He's the one that said it.
But he
It is
also
not
said-
legal.
He also said it was a majority vote.
Well, of course, because he represents you, we know that.
He represents the borough council.
That's not what he
All
said.
right,
So what's legal? Can we get that answer, please?
Mr. Boucher, is that question's for you?
Now, hold on. The president appoints the committees.
There you go.
There is if the president appoints certain people to the road committee, those are the people on the road committee. If borough council, in the course of a meeting, determines that they want to make a motion to have certain individuals do certain aspects of things that could be considered road-related, and it passes, they can do that.
Okay.
So, but the...
Seems like sophistry to me.
But did you not say, you also said at that same time that they had to bring those specs before to the, back to the council for a meeting so that we all knew what was going on.
I think they need to bring
You
it
did
back.
say, but
I
they
didn't
did
say
not.
that they couldn't do it without,
Right.
but they need to bring them to the meeting and show them what they did, that's all.
They were sent to the secretary.
Copy
It
was
should have been sent to the secretary.
Right,
They were.
but it should have been brought before the council. All right,
Since we're on that
Oh,
subject,
one other thing, on those minutes, you did make a motion to revise the agenda before you made that motion. That should be in those minutes.
I'm sorry, revise what?
The agenda.
Correct, that's right. You made a motion to revise the agenda so that you could then pass the motion. And I forget the exact phrasing, Darrell, it was Darrell Haynes and Keith Payne are authorized to, was it purchase or oversee?
Rate the specs and oversee the projects intended to redevelop.
Do the job of the road committee.
Okay, so what I don't understand, and maybe Mr. Boucher can clarify this, is how two members of council, or three members of council, or whoever can go and do something and say, yep, this is what it is, without any oversight by other members of council. Because isn't that the purpose of the council?
There is oversight by other members of council, it's by majority rule.
But not if they just do the specs and then send them away without us ever getting to look at them in a public forum.
That was the motion that was passed.
right, and they had the majority, so let's
Of course.
move on from that.
so
Well,
if
where
they,
are they?
so if they made the motion
They're given to the secretary.
and they haven't been approved, would they have the right to go ahead and do it without approval?
Yes.
And
So
without.
just because it's in the minutes, they have the right to go do it before it's approved by
Not
council.
because it's in the minutes, because the council voted on it and approved it, that's why.
The majority approved it. And we do
Okay.
have a community, down here, we have your committee report where we expect you to.
So now that
update
those
us on that.
specs are all changed, and they put it out to bid, that's all legal.
I don't know about changing or anything like that. All I know
What do you
is,
mean you don't know?
I don't know that anybody changed any specs. How am I gonna know they changed specs?
Okay. So, everything that we got from the redevelopment authority come back, I read that at the April meeting. Keith and Darrell, Keith signed it. He took down and he changed the hall specs. No sluices or nothing on the roads. We've got the upper end of Penn Hill Road being done, so now it's a whole different type of specs out there. So they changed, the specs half of them are all changed.
But what I heard on the motion was they had the authority to write the specs. If that's in the motion, then they have the authority to do it.
And then it could go out to bid and move on to the process before these were approved?
I heard the motion was they could go ahead and basically implement the whole process. That's what I heard.
So anybody that, as long as you get a vote from council, they can go ahead and do anything they want
No,
on putting things out to bid.
they have to do it according to law.
Mr. Williams,
That's the
I think to avoid all of this argument, that you should read the minutes from April meeting to hear exactly what was said.
But that motion,
Unfortunately, they weren't in the
that
minutes.
motion
That's
was
what he
made
said, it wasn't.
in the minutes, and it was made.
Okay, let's go look at the tape.
Question, do you need to amend this
It doesn't
agenda?
count.
Yeah, okay.
Do we need to amend this agenda where we hired Ray Wood as assistant secretary and put it on the agenda?
Yes. In other words, what we're saying is, sunshine law, you can change the agenda during the course of the meeting.
Right,
But you have to make a motion to do that at a meeting, pass the motion, then you go ahead and do it, and then tomorrow, within 24 hours, it has to be posted
Yep.
on an amended agenda on the door.
right.
But
But this was an emergency thing that just came up that we weren't going to have a second.
Emergency is an exception
Right,
to the motion, but you still have to post it. So the
Right.
question is, was it an emergency or not?
yes, absolutely, the man
Road
could
committee
not
wasn't.
attend because he has COVID, and he could not subject the rest of the population of this community to that.
And-
So that was something we just found, that's why, and we will definitely, we have to have a secretary. They've gone too many times without secretary.
That's right.
And that, yeah,
This
we
meeting
have to
because
do
of
that.
lack of secretary. But
Right.
it seemed like the better course of battle would be to amend it anyway, as long as you pass the motion, then you certainly can't get in any trouble. Emergency, like you would say it, an emergency does mean you don't have to amend it.
Right.
But why not just amend it now to be sure? You gotta have to post it anyway.
It's not any different than when you guys audience members to sit in as secretaries, that random meeting you held in the middle of the day that people couldn't go to.
I'm not sure I understand what you're
Yeah.
talking about.
I have another question.
Yes,
House hiring
Was
secretary is not anything.
Amending the agenda last April, so they could go and do the road thing in emergency?
Good point.
No, those are two, I'm sorry.
But-
all right.
I shouldn't speak for you, but those are two separate.
But we never added to the agenda for them to vote themselves in to do the road committee.
So it's not legal?
That's not true.
They're not on the road committee, as I understood.
No, excuse me, I misspoke. So they could redo the specs. So that wasn't on the agenda for them to redo.
But what's that?
Do
Yeah.
the specs.
Right.
You keep on saying redo, we could do the
But
specs.
were the specs ever amended from the original specs that you
Okay,
gave,
so,
that you wrote?
Time out.
So Keith, on that, if we never had no
The
specs,
redevelopment authority stated that you were down there for an hour and change, and if you still can't get it when they spoke to you about it, I'm not gonna be able.
Could you be any more condescending?
I do get it.
Okay.
I do get it, because you filed for a grant, you got the grant, but now you totally changed the grant
No,
in the middle of it. Okay.
okay. Anyway.
My question was, the question that I just asked, were the original specs that you wrote altered in any way and given back for the grant, given back to them for the grant?
Okay, I'll answer that question this way. The ones we did here in April were the first specs for the projects.
Did you change anything after that?
After we did them in April, no. But
So what they have are the original specs that you gave them,
okay, but well,
and
let's
nothing ever changed.
go back one. People that want to understand how grant application is done.
I know full well how granted
Okay,
conditions
then-
were, because I did the hall.
Okay, then why do you ask me now
Everything.
about changing the specs from the original one? Because the original ones are not specs.
How did you come up with it? If you didn't have no specs, you knew what you were doing, what type of
Go
work.
back
you were doing.
and read
How could you have
guidelines
got
now.
It's just ridiculous what you're
It
saying.
is.
All right,
Can we go
All
back
right,
to
so
the other
amending the
question?
agenda,
all right, if you want the agenda, make a motion.
so
So
is this
what
gonna
I
be
have-
retroactive of the motion to hire him as temporary assistant secretary?
Yeah, I would say yes, do it anyway. I think President Levin is likely right, it's an emergency, but it doesn't hurt now to do it with a motion, pass it by majority. The secretary, assistant secretary's gonna post it out there, and then we'll make it.
Just to keep you happy, because we don't have it, because it was an emergency. And we have to have it legally, I know it's been done in the past, no secretary that you have. Okay, let's hear the
I
motion.
make a motion to amend the agenda. What is today's date?
6-6.
Six.
June 6th agenda.
And,
To include the motion to hire an assistant secretary, Ray Woods.
we have a second to the motion on the floor.
I'll second it.
Was there any comment about the motion on the floor?
Yeah, can you read that motion back, please?
Keith Payne makes a motion to amend the June 6th agenda, goodness gracious, to retroactively hire, or agenda, to retroactively hire the Assistant Secretary Ray Wood, seconded by Kurt Rowe.
Could we have a vote? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Gooden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Bauer, yes.
Ray, would you please see that that is posted on the door, the amended agenda? Okay.
So
Because
as
we had,
there has been a question that was not addressed about the last meeting. It was not on the agenda for them to do this spec thing, but they added it. Was that motion made to put that on the agenda? And if that motion wasn't made to put that on the agenda,
Yes.
was Was that actual motion made to put that on the agenda and then
He
the
made a
motion?
motion to amend the agenda, and then, I don't know if it was part of the same motion to do the specs, but then there was.
It would have to be two separate, it would have to be two separate motions.
I can't recall.
So if that motion was not made to amend the agenda before the motion was made to put them on for specs, is that a valid motion?
Mr. Boucher?
Posted on the door.
I'm looking for my notes here.
That's the secretary's responsibility to post the agenda within 24 hours, yes.
Then if it ain't, then it's not legal, is it?
But if it was
Well, the
not.
secretary
Because, like,
will definitely.
Mr. Boucher is researching this, please, let's move on until we get an answer. Do we have the treasurer's report?
Are we good? Okay.
He's gonna look.
He's
All right, yes,
researching
yes, ma'am.
until we have an answer.
Yes. He's looking it up. We're gonna move forward,
Treasurer's report.
Everyone has that in front of you.
Okay, so I have a treasurer's report here, and it's available for the public to come up and review. I'm sorry, the rest of the copies got handed out. It looks like this is just for, and I apologize, I just got this like an hour ago. It looks like this is just for the liquid fuels. Liquid fuels balance as of April 1st, there was a deposit of $26,165.11, a rollover balance of $3,798.65. There are debits for Chris Miller, $6,375, Bill Pikus, $1,061. Checks auto, I don't know what that is, $166.89. And we earned interest, or we should have earned interest, this is a deposit here, or it shows as a debit of $1.34, leaving us with a grand total balance of $21,863.83.
Is there any questions about the treasurer's
Yeah,
report?
anybody know what the checks and auto is for 166.89?
I do not know what that is.
Might be renew the checks.
For what now?
Do they renew the checks or?
He did tell me that he got new checks.
Okay, but that can't come out of liquid fuel. I do not believe that that come out of general fund.
I agree.
Yes, and he should know that. So we'll have to make sure he amends that.
But that money should be,
The right account, the right account, because,
but if the check's already been written, then there needs to be a check written from the general.
I
Back
think
to-
that
Yeah,
that's the
I haven't done to check on that.
right, I'm sure he wrote it on the general fund, because there was.
Because we're making an assumption that that's even what
Right.
that's for.
Right. So let's check and find out about that.
Not that I want to throw a monkey in the wrench in the whole thing, but this is dated for April, he's got. And I think these were the bills that was paid, correct?
Yeah, that's what this top section looks like. These are the bills that were paid from the general fund.
Right.
And then there's the liquid fuels, that seems like it's a separate spreadsheet.
Yeah.
UCC checking was 0 debits, and fire fund was, since January, 0 debits. And then I have this account balance form. Did you guys get that? We can pass that around as well. And it looks like there's a total of $38,389.28 in the general account. The UCC account is $300.42. The liquid fuels, this says $22,353.72, which is different than that balance. And he has the borough loan principal balance of $82,600.
That's the loan.
And no fire tax.
Where's the fire?
The fire account.
Yeah, we
is not on here.
didn't put the
It's
fire
not on
account on here.
It's not anything.
So that's what he's saying, he's new, so we're going to have to make sure we keep on top of all of that.
He did take this out of the rules because it's here.
Yeah, so that's going to have to be,
6375.
yeah, he's going to have to, that's going to have to be put back into liquid fuels. Which I did not realize that it already did that. Because these are the two, and those are the new checks, because they were using just personal checks with no subs, no way of tracking that. Right, so we'll have to make sure that, Charlie.
Well, it looks like what he did here, he don't have no, did he pay those out of those checks?
Oh, yes, yes, Chris Miller was paid, Billy Picus was paid, yes.
This one was 6275.
Yeah, because those are both on there for the.
Unless those checks.
Now, this is just updated because it's got the same check number.
Right, right. Yeah, this
176,
is, yeah,
177.
okay. Unless the checks were for.
But yeah,
Which could have been.
but
Sure,
look
liquid,
here,
because that's a liquid.
he's got right
fuel.
here, liquid fuels account and general
Right,
account.
so that's what he
Same.
bought, purchased for the liquid fuels account, because that's,
I
okay.
think it's worth something.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I have a note, okay. All right, is there any other questions about the treasurer's report?
This treasurer's report is for April.
Yes, yes, be great.
Well, it says account balances.
But he updated as of June 1st on the general account.
But the last time we were able to pay bills was April, so
Right.
that's why there's been no bills paid.
Right.
Except
So
those.
we should have one said 6622 today.
The account balance is
That's that one.
622 on that sheet.
Right,
And if you look at the same check numbers, he's got across. the
right.
board.
So it's all, it's accurate and
All right.
right, we have bills to be paid.
Yes, bills are here. We have a bill from Jay
Excuse
Fisher.
me, under this, we entertain a motion to accept the treasurer's report as given to us, with the exception, we'll check into the 166.89, but that was taken out of the liquid fuels, and I believe those checks were for the liquid fuels account.
How many checks do you need out of liquid fuels for $166?
Well, I'm not saying that that is, I'm just saying that we're going to check into that, and if it isn't, then he will have to just put that money back into liquid fuels.
I don't know, but he
That's been done.
said he was getting new checks that he had so you could have a stub off from each check.
Right, because there's no way to
Personal
trace,
account.
right.
So, I don't know, but I would assume he would have got all accounts that way.
Yeah, every account,
So it probably was checks for all accounts.
right.
But it definitely can't come out of liquid fuels.
Well, unless it's for liquid fuels, just that.
No.
But that,
Well, yeah.
that's something we will question. Could we entertain a motion to check, accept the treasurer's report as given, with the exception, we'll make sure about the 166.89, and if it's general fund checks, then it will be reimbursed to liquid fuels.
I make a
account.
motion to accept the treasurer's report with the 166 put back into the general account.
Can we have a
Or excuse
second
me, for the general account to
to liquid fuels?
liquid fuels.
As needed.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Alan Haynes Jr., yes.
McCrone, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Red, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
And bills to be paid.
Okay, and I apologize, he didn't give me a spreadsheet of all of these. There's a bill for $4,183.76 for Jay Fisher, dated June 3rd.
Yes. I have questions about this before we continue. I am looking at this and I see dates where you corresponded with President Redmond. Then I see dates that just say client. I see one date that says Darrell Haynes, some more that says client with no name. I for one would like to know who this client is before I authorize anyone to pay a bill when I don't know who it's for. So how come we name some people but not others?
Just the way the bill is written. I've been responding to each and every council member, including the mayor of Columbus.
Yeah, I see mayor on here.
Now, I suggested to Jack, and when I corresponded with Jack recently, that if for some reason, my understanding of the law is that any borough council member can call the solicitor up and get advice. If there's some reason that the president feels that that should be changed, we should discuss it at council and have a policy. But right now, you contacted me, he's contacted me, Mr. Haynes has contacted me, I responded.
Yeah, let's put this in a different perspective, and how you're just throwing it out there. You've got a bill for multiple thousands of dollars for clients, which would probably be one of those four, or all those four.
Could be you too, Jack.
No, because I sent you 2 emails. And then you called me on the phone so we could have a phone conference with Darrell, and then Darrell chickened out and he wouldn't have a phone conference with him. That's the only time I talked with you, and that's the only time I should have been even involved in the bill. Let me finish. My 2 emails to you, you never responded to the first one, so I sent you another email last week, and you answered half of my emails. So I'm probably billed on there for about 2 or 3 hours at tops.
You have no idea what it is.
Why don't you explain it then to me, because your email back to me, we will discuss that.
Listen, the bill is itemized. Unless I've been directed some way specifically by council not to address questions or give opinions to others.
You're taking this in a whole different perspective. Perspective is not what getting back to an email from you. What Kristen is asking is the same thing that we have, all of us 3 would have questions on this. You just got down here, client. What do we got? $1,000, $2,000? Client. But when Gail calls you, you can name Gail out, or Jason calls you, you can name it out. So who is your clients? I think you should name your clients out.
The client is Starrucca Borough by the majority members. And any individual who has contacted not responded.
So you're just selective on who you're going to name.
No.
That who called you on
No.
what issue?
Absolutely.
Oh, yes, it is.
Is there Darrell?
You know what, this is deja vu of about 15 years
If
ago.
Borough Council wants to tell me otherwise, you can.
So, you pointed to a bunch of people that you said have contacted you. Can you specifically name those people sitting at this table that have contacted you?
Jack, Gail, Keith, Darrell, Jason, and Donald.
Okay,
But keep in
so,
mind, while we're having this discussion, you're still running for more bills. And what are you gonna accomplish?
Well, can we
So-
name
We'd
them?
like to see how many times you called them, Darrell,
so,
on what issues.
couple things. 2 of those people you mentioned are not listed on here by name, yet others are. And if you're going by the theory that Starrucca Borough is your client, then it should say Starrucca Borough for everything, or specifically name each person, not name certain people when someone feels like naming them.
That's the way council wants me to do the bill by majority vote.
Because you can't point out certain people, but
Hold on.
that's
Let's hear
targeting. You're targeting people by saying, oh, yeah, Gail Redden called me this many, or called me this many
Hold on.
times.
Dude,
All right. Now, we could set up that if we make a motion that Mr. Boucher name the clients instead of just putting client. Put the client's name down so we know what we're paying for. Could we have a motion?
We set a client, I mean, individual person.
Because I don't know anyone in here that would pay a bill without knowing who it was for. Like, if this bill came to your house, you'd be like, I don't know who this is, I'm not gonna pay it. So
All right, so then
I will make the motion that Attorney Boucher lists the specific names of the Starrucca Borough Council person or mayor that contacts him on his invoices.
Okay, you've heard the motion. Do we have a second?
Yes, but
I'll second it.
Could we have a vote, please? All those in favor? That the motion, Ray, would you read the motion back, please?
Sorry. I don't have it, sorry.
Well, Kristen, would you
So I make a
reiterate?
motion that Attorney Boucher will list the specific name of the council member or mayor that contacts him on his emails.
We have the motion, we have a second. Ed? Because he lists some of us and not others, that's the bone of contention.
Yes. Kirk Rowe, yes.
Yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Jack Dillon, yes.
Okay, the motion is made and passed.
See, this is why we need it, Ron, because, like I said before, deja vu is sort of comes back, so one of the times that we're involved with these people. This town was billed out like $26,000 in a 3-year period from you. And, when people requested, myself as the mayor back in 2000 requested to get billed, this is what I ended up getting back to you. And we don't want to go back down to this road again. That was in April 2007 bill.
I didn't give you that bill.
Well, somebody did because it came from you.
Well, don't look at me, I don't redact the bill.
Well, and
Okay,
it was one of the council members or Lord Travis.
Well, good, then find out who it was and blame that person, but don't keep your mouth off and you know what you're talking about.
all right.
I'll apologize if it was you, and we will find out.
Let's move on.
You gotta hide.
Ray?
All right, so that bill, 418376. There is a bill from Tri-County paper of $550 even. This looks like advertising for meetings. This goes back to 310, it looks like. Yeah, so this is from March to May. Anybody want to
Okay.
review it?
Does anyone need to review the billing from
This is a bill from Donald G. Karpowicz, attorney at law, $3,334.13. This is a disbursement for Donald Potter, tax collector. It looks like 3% is equal to $248.26. Tax bill printing invoice, first $91.64. This is from the Wayne County Assessment Office. I believe that's for the tax book, if I'm correct, right?
Right.
I have a bill from Chris Miller from 5/22/22 for $625, 5 hours of plowing on 4/19/22. It's really hard to read this. Penjo, Fairmont, Kellogg, Jacob's Ladder, Hoxton Lake, Leech Creek, and the Baptist Church. And there's, I cannot read that one.
Who authorized the plowing of the Baptist church?
We had that same question, that was never answered.
He sent a letter.
Yeah, he was sent a letter, he never responded.
I didn't see it in the correspondence. There's an electric bill from Penelec for $354.50. James McDonald, this looks like a bill for soil testing.
I see it.
The subdivision of King Hill Road.
Yes.
And it was $1,445.
Wait a minute, now what is that for?
A perk test, isn't it, basically?
Why would the borough?
Well, why does the borough pay him for a perk test?
SEO work done on RJJR LLC, proposed subdivision property control number 027908.
The status King Hill and Quack property, they did 3 perk tests, and they have done 2, maybe 3 subdivisions.
But why does the borough pay? I think President Bennett is right.
I don't know what the copy of the check is under that.
Yeah, so it looks like he paid a check of $1915 on 5/24, and then his bill is for $14.45, so that's gonna net us out about $400, $500.
The council,
Just under
the
500.
borough should receive the difference.
And did the borough receive the check for the 1915?
Well, it says void on the check, and there's a photocopy. I don't know if that's been deposited or
Who's
not.
the check made out to?
Starrucca Borough, B-O-R-O.
So it's a photocopy and then it.
What was the date on that?
5/24/22. I don't see it on
Yeah, that's
the credits here. But this would be after this date, so this is in April,
Okay.
so it doesn't help us. All right.
So
Like that.
That's the SEO, okay.
I mean, if we did receive the money, then we're actually up almost $500.
Right.
DGK Insurance, $940.75. And finally, this is a request from Charles for his salary from April and May, as well as reimbursement for one laser writer cartridge for other genuine hydroleal toner cartridge and a replacement black toner. Total is $808.49.
Are there any questions about any of the bills?
It's a bill that gave you that has never been paid from the case of lawsuit.
What was the name of the law firm?
Did this go to the secretary?
3334?
Get one
That is
secretary,
our
let's go,
college
you sign it.
and
Right.
attorneys. Hold on 1 second. Donald G. Karhowich, attorney at law, PC.
Would you spell the last name?
Karpowich.
Okay.
What does that pertain?
It's the word we had before they voided everything when we had our, the ballot
I mean,
reorganization.
you guys already voted not to pay this once, like, I mean, he can submit it again, I guess.
So technically, in your $4,000 bill, 2,500 of that goes to, or was for the purpose of defending Carly Soden's lawsuit against her?
No, that's in addition,
In addition,
right?
okay. And that's already been paid, the 2,500?
No.
No,
that
he
hasn't
said
been
this
paid.
was not
That's the
paid.
problem.
He said this was not paid. All right, we need
And
to.
that's not part of the 41?
That's not part of it.
No.
Okay. And you're submitting that at this time?
I'm submitting
Right.
this time, to submit the
Right.
order.
All right, let's break this down. This is a bill from Mr. Boucher for 2,500, and it's been from March. So we need to add this to the bills to be paid.
Thanks.
We should, let's vote on each one of these bills individually. Starting with the first, the original bill from Mr. Boucher is 4182.76. That's yours, right?
4183, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. So then just add the 2,500 to that, which comes to,
So that'd be 6683.76.
76 cents. We entertain a motion to pay Mr. Boucher.
I'll make a motion to pay Mr. Boucher a total of $6,683.76.
So then you'll be up to date. Do we have a second? All those in favor? And
All in
Hayes Jr., yes.
Kirk Rowland, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jared, no.
Kristen Potter, no. That's not nothing below the finance.
Well, that's the motion, that we made that specification that begins with this month, so everything has to be, all the names will be on his invoices, because we didn't put it in the motion, it has to be retroactive. So, the
And
next.
on that one of your invoices, you had a certain name. What was that name on one invoice you had?
Roger,
Roger. Who was Roger?
I'm gonna be checking.
Where's, which is the original? I must have that one.
no, this one.
That's your new one, must be the old bill. Give that back to Ray. Bills here. But there was you had it on there, that Roger. Thank you.
R-O-D-G-E-R.
Mike
If
Roger.
you can show it to me, I'll take a look at it.
I should have put a time limit on my sheet.
Do you really have anything
It's
better?
just confusing when we got 21 people.
Is there anything better to do on a Monday night?
Just trying to. All right.
Excuse me.
You find it?
Yeah.
Roger.
It's $60, but we couldn't figure out who Roger is. It's R-O-D-G-E-R, so I don't know.
I'll take a look at my file over here, so I know what it is.
Okay, in the interim, should we just, maybe, if you're not sure who it is,
Did you just vote already? You
yeah,
already voted.
just, right.
Kicking nothing around.
No, I mean, so he'll clarify. All right, so then the next one of you is what?
Kristen Miller, $625.
Question on that.
Voted, went independent.
That's the one after that.
Dave,
The one you were talking
I don't know, maybe I got
about, the
it.
last building in the bank for plowing, does the church get plowed on the liquid fuel funds?
church should not be
It's a-
plowed with
Church should not be plowed at all because he's never given authorization.
The point is, liquid fuel fund is the general fund. Whether it's legal to order, whether it should have, that's the question. Make it plain and simple, do you pay in general funds or liquid fuel funds?
I guess you'd have to ask the state liquid fuels. People
Ask
that-
who?
The state liquid fuels people that, they don't think can answer the question.
You know better than that, Carl.
If he's plowing, they would have, plowing has to come out of liquid fuels.
It doesn't have to, but it can, there's an option, it can come out of the general fund. It doesn't.
But this, and
Well, it's sort of odd, Chris keep billing
Next 4 years.
for plowing the church. So somebody had to authorize him to plow the church.
does anyone know who authorized?
Chris had got a letter sent to him, he hasn't responded back. So I feel somebody that's told Chris to do it, or if Chris is just billing us, then someone should reimburse the town back to the general fund because Liquid Fuels has been paying that money. What's your thought on that, Ron?
You talk about the plowing?
The plowing for the Baptist church on Liquid Fuels?
I understood it was in the contract that the borough signed to purchase the property, they were responsible for plowing.
But we don't own it, so if you don't own
That's in
something,
the contract. Which is in the contract. I understood.
The one that he wrote.
what, that bogus contract for us to buy the church?
But if you haven't closed on it, are we responsible?
If it's part of the contract, whatever's contractually obligated you to do when you sign the contract, even if it was last year, then you're
But
obligated.
is the contract finalized?
it's finalized if it's executed. Doesn't matter if the deal is closed or not, if it's in an agreement, it says that during the interim period, you have to pay for the snow plowing. Which is what I seem to recall was in that contract.
Do you think that was a wise thing for contract, to sign that
I
contract?
don't decide whether it's, you guys are the ones that decide whether it's
All
wise.
right, let's move
Well, I
on.
decided no, to be honest with you.
All right, the next bill in line.
So Tri-County paper for $550.
Entertain a motion to pay the newspaper for advertisements.
I'll make a motion to pay the Tri-County Independent.
The second,
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Donald Haynes, Jr., yes.
Cliff Burrow, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Power, yes.
And
Next.
Keith, you seconded that, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Next bill is, now I have Chris Miller, for $625.
Okay, so if I have an accurate copy of the contract, it says Starrucca Borough agrees to be responsible to maintain the building and grounds of the property and the condition that it is in at the time of the closing going forward in
It's not closed.
There has been no closing, so then you're not responsible for
It's the same condition as it was at the time of the closing.
But it hasn't been closed on. And it says at the time of closing going forward in time.
Doesn't it say plowing?
This means protecting the road. That's what that means.
It says maintain building and grounds. Unless you have a different copy than I have.
We do need to clarify about that, but the bill is how much?
Did
$625.
you break down how much like was for plowing each thing?
No, it said 5 hours and for, you can read it yourself. It's a little
Right.
It might be possible, but I can't.
It has to be constant, so you have the rest listed.
It is, it's constant.
So it has to be. All right, that's the next bill on the floor. We entertain a motion to pay Chris Miller $625.
Thank you. Under the expenses to be paid by Starrucca Borough, it includes plowing within property lines only. That's the contract.
Does it say up on signing the contract, or?
During the course of the contract.
Right, but in the actual contract, would you like to see what I was saying?
I want to see what you see, because I know it's.
Right, I see. No, I see what you're saying, that yes, we are responsible for plowing once at the time of closing going forward in time.
It doesn't say, that's a stupid thing to think that you're responsible for plowing once you own it. Of course you're responsible once you
Why
own it.
would you be responsible for plowing if
Well,
you
you
don't
don't
own
own
it?
it.
Because they agreed to it. That's why.
Moving right along, the motion, there is a bill to be paid to Chris Miller. Is there a motion on the floor to pay $625 to Chris Miller?
So we still don't actually know if it was on the signing of the contract
No.
that we had to buy.
This is what Attorney Pucci is talking about, it says they're responsible for other expenses for snow plowing within property lines. That's what he's referring to. I'm referring to this part of the contract here, where it says we're responsible to maintain the building and grounds, which would be the parking lot, at the time of closing going forward in time.
Well, yeah, I would sort of say that.
Look at number 3. Upon the signing of this agreement, Starrucca Borough Council shall be allowed to utilize the subject premises by taking possession thereof under the terms and conditions attached hereto, made a part of the label Exhibit A. They signed the contract in December. So from that point on, they're subject to the conditions that are attached. It's right there.
So what about when you go to
I'll make a motion to pay Chris Miller's,
terms and
All right,
conditions?
we have a motion on the floor by Darrell Haynes. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
All right, the motion has been made and seconded to pay Chris Miller.
Donald Haynes, Jr., yes.
Cliff Burrow, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Redden, no.
Jack Down abstains to the fact that it can't be paid out of liquor fuels funds for plowing at Baptist Church.
Kristen Potter, no.
All right, the motion has been passed to pay Chris Miller. Next,
Donald Potter, 3%, $248.26.
Entertain a motion to pay the tax collector his dues.
I'll make a motion to pay Donald Potter $248.26.
I'll second that.
Some discussion?
Yes. We absolutely should pay the tax collector, but we need to verify that our new secretary has deducted.
I asked him that, he said he did. He said he did, so his social security, et cetera, tax.
And who seconded? I'm sorry, was that Donald?
Kurt.
Oh, sorry.
Yes.
All those in favor of paying the tax collector?
Yes.
Kirk, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Power, yes. And yes, I am allowed to vote on it. Somebody commented on that last time. I did ask the attorney about that.
I don't see the problem with voting.
Because we're required to pay.
All right, this is tax bill printing invoice for $91.64. This is for the Wayne County Assessment Office. Again, I believe it is for real estate and, yeah, so I believe this is printing the booklets.
Right.
Okay, I make a motion to pay the Wayne County Assessment Office $91.64.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirk, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
And Kristen Power, yes.
Next bill, Penelec for $354.50.
Entertain a motion to pay Penelec.
I make a motion to pay Penelec $354.50.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirk, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Power, yes.
Okay, so I have DGK insurance for $940.75.
Entertain a motion to pay DGK.
I'll make a
insurance.
motion to pay DG insurance, $900.
A second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor of paying the insurance?
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirk, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Power, yes.
Okay, motion passes. Last one I got here is salary and a replacement toner. That was $38.49 for a grand total of $808.49 for the Starrucca Borough Secretary.
Entertain a motion to pay Charlie Iris as Starrucca Borough Secretary.
I make a motion to pay Charlie, Ira, and Albert.
Second it.
I'll second, okay, go ahead.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Donald Haynes Jr., yes.
Kirk, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Power, yes.
And Jack, you seconded, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Did you not have another bill that you read?
Yeah, I have Kropowicz, Donald G. Kropowicz, attorneys at law for $334.13.
Right.
I make a motion not to pay Donald Clarkwood's law firm
I got something I want to ask.
$3,334.32. I make a motion not to pay it.
I second that motion.
I got a discussion on that. Ron, on the email that I had sent you, I sent you to get back on your legal, give me a legal written response on that, and didn't do it on one email. That in January, when we hired that attorney, that he was hired then in January. So was he legally hired or not? Should we pay him? Because he was legally hired in January's meeting. The court case said that the January meeting was a valid meeting, and we hired him, and he was the borough's attorney at the time. So should we, what's your legal opinion on that? Should we pay him because council voted to hire him?
problem is you voted against the bill, not voted down last meeting. It's already been voted on.
Why can't you go back and re-vote on it?
You can't go back and re-vote on it. Why should you go back and re-vote on it?
Well, common sense would say you can re-vote on something many times as you want. It's a new meeting. Why can't you vote on it? And then again, going back to your, I asked for written comment. Was he the borough solicitor, yes or no? As of January, until the court case went on.
Except that it was undone by the next meeting, which the judge authorized the council to do once Mr. Rowland was seated as a borough councilman. They undid it.
They didn't do the whole January meeting. The court case said it was a valid meeting. It is a valid meeting. So they picked and choose what they could choose. The judge said they could go back and modify it, not expel it out. So when it comes down to it,
Anything they wanted to. That's what the judge said. So they gave him an eraser and they erased it.
okay, so they could erase, so we didn't have no solicitor then?
No, he erased that whole concept.
No.
So you did it at your own.
Mr. Williams?
I have a question here. Vanessa brought up when the original bill came out. I believe Mr. Boucher said, yes, he acted in good faith and he should be paid. Why are you
Didn't say
changing?
it should be paid.
You did say that.
Absolutely did.
You did say that. And then they voted, and why are you changing your story now?
I said he should be paid, not necessarily by Starrucca Borough Council, but by the people that hired him.
Which was the borough council.
I don't believe that's the case at all.
Well, when we get sued, I guess we'll find
Well,
out.
I have that in writing back from you, because I requested it in my email.
And I sent you this latest response that said, if you want legal opinions, there's a way to do it, and I put it in your letter.
You didn't tell me I have a legal opinion.
It's in your letter, Jack.
Ray, would you read back that motion and vote on that?
Darrell Haynes makes a motion to not pay Donald Kropowicz $3,334.13. I didn't hear a second, but I seconded the motion.
Your vote on this motion that Darrell has made, not to pay.
Down then, sure you know.
Now, how does the motion read?
The motion reads, Darrell Haynes made a motion to not pay Donald Kropowicz $3,000.
I vote yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes, Keith Payne, yes.
Gil Redden, no.
Jack, no.
Kristen Potter, no?
Thank you.
But the attorney said it's already been voted on once.
Yeah, but this was a new bill.
It's a new bill.
The bill was just sent, this is a new billing.
But it's the same old bill.
Right,
And you vote for it.
That vote was not a vote to pay him.
I'm not voting.
It was a vote to not pay him.
Now, wait a minute, let's back
It was a
up.
vote not to pay
Which
him.
failed.
Which failed.
Okay, so your $2,500, we voted back in April to pay you. You didn't get paid, but we voted again, so it was voted back then, so why would we vote again on it?
You didn't
My
vote
question
again, you
is,
agreed to
Mr.
pay the bill, Jack.
Mr. Boucher, the motion failed not to pay them. 4-3.
That's what it sounded like to me.
Right.
Paid.
So then now we can pay the gentleman.
No, somebody has to make a motion to pay him. No. If you want to do it again, make a motion again.
If they voted not to pay him, the other option is yes, we pay him. Yes, that's how that works.
When a motion,
Well, you hate to lose, don't you?
Okay.
Well,
All right. That's all of the bills. Could we have correspondence, please?
All right. It's a letter from NICB, National Insurance Crime Bureau. It's like some kind of casualty insurance,
Well, they want,
emergency management, maybe.
okay.
And then there's also a letter from Wayne County Office of Emergency Management, giving a notice of a meeting on, we missed it, May 18th. Wayne County Tax Services. This is available properties, remember to pre-register. Pennsylvania Uniform Construction Code. the United States Census Bureau, zoning permits. It's addressed to Steve McLaughlin. There are several letters from Bouger Fisher to President Gail Redden. There's an email from Jack Doughton. Reply. I mean, you guys want me to read all these out loud? I'm just here, the public wants to review. There's a letter from ISO to Kirk Roan, building code enforcement. Seems like a solicitation. It looks like there's a notice of action required. Your system for award management, SAM, entity registration for Starrucca Borough, will become inactive in 60 days on June 22nd. I don't know if there's a fee involved with this. Is anybody familiar with the SAM program? I don't know. I remember seeing this. I thought it was a solicitation, but maybe that's something that we should look into. New unemployment compensation communications available. That the RCT 900 has not been submitted yet in order to receive PERTA funding. It's due April 1st, so I think this needs to be followed up on. It looks like some kind of filing for unemployment insurance, like a standard filing that needs to be done by April 1st. There is a notice of payment from the state police fines and penalties for Starrucca Borough. Pleased to inform us that we made $174.86 to be paid on June 1st. So I'm assuming that was paid. It's right there. Thompson Hose EMS is looking for a donation. And that's the correspondence that I have.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Steve's raising a request.
Yeah, I handed you one.
Yeah, you got a standard rights to know law request form from to Starrucca Borough, June 6th, from Stephen Williams, 62 Shattuck Creek Road, Starrucca, PA. He is requesting that he be contacted via email. He is requesting all communications, both physical and digital, including all but not limited to email, text messages, phone records, date, time, topic, fax, and written letters between Starrucca Borough Solicitor Bouger and Starrucca Borough Council members from the dates of June 1st, 2021 to June 6th, 2022 regarding meeting attendance, agendas, and minutes. 2. All invoices, both physical, digital, and by fax, between Starrucca Borough Solicitor and Starrucca Borough Council for work performed between June 1st, 2021 and June 6th, 2022. And he is looking for electronic copies.
First of all, some of that may be lawyer-client privilege. So you
Yeah,
gotta be
sure.
careful about it.
About meeting minutes, I don't think so.
We're talking about correspondence, not minutes.
Read
Some of it
yourself.
may be-
You can read it again and respond legally.
Well, I'm not the one responding, I'm just saying if you release the wrong stuff, you're going to be in trouble.
We can get me in trouble, you just say you can't get it. We'll see how it
All
goes.
right.
Like.
All right, so next is public comments. And Mr. Boucher, I'll follow up with you on that one to make sure that.
Thank you.
I have one comment, okay, or one question, okay?
Yes.
And that's it, I won't ask you anymore. I want to know, why is it right for that solicitor to send intimidating and threatening emails to the president of the council and copy and keep paying on it? And no other council members? Did you send that same letter to the rest of the council? No? Didn't think so.
That is a good question. Why just keep?
Can we have that read so we can all hear what he wrote?
I asked for an executive session, I didn't get it. You want to discuss this in executive session as with other
You
sensitive...
threatened her not working with the other side, it would hurt her political career. I read the letter.
Now.
I read the letter.
You want me to answer, he shouldn't be interrupting me.
You're right.
That's correct.
Let Mr. Boucher continue and follow up.
More lines, okay, go ahead.
I asked for an executive session at this meeting, and you wouldn't put it on the list. There are sensitive legal matters that need to be discussed, that should be discussed in executive
The
session.
lawsuit only is the only legal thing that, and we did have an executive session for the lawsuit. Now that's all public because everyone is, you're giving, the whole council has what, your motions and
In
everything.
all due respect, I don't know where you got your water, but you don't do this stuff in open session. You discuss strategy and tactics in.
No, I have the right to know why, because the emails were sent to me, I have the right to know in a public forum why only Keith. Why didn't you send that same letter to everyone, all the council members? Why is Keith your spokesman? That's my question.
I'll tell you why, because as I told you in my last letter, I'm sick and tired of being babysitted. What you do, I asked you to meet in the office, because it's clear. Let me finish. You asked me, I'm going to give you an answer. You may not like it, but I'm going to give it to you. You have been after me a number of times and sending me all kinds of emails about this. Why do your clients do this? Why do your clients do this? Why do your clients do this? It's nonsense. You represent the three people on that side of the table. Keith Payne is the only one that has email that I know on this side of the table. I am trying to bridge the gap between the two factions in Starrucca Borough. And anybody who denies that there are two factions is putting his head in the sand. That's why I sent a copy to him, so everybody knows what's going on.
And what did I say?
But when you send a copy to him, not everyone knows what's going on.
I'm speaking.
Keith knows what's going on.
Excuse me. Because this is my serious problem. I said that when Darrell and the rest should voice what their problem is with the rest of the council and everyone else in a public forum. Full disclosure, that's their due diligence as working for the borough. I just want to know why we can't just move ahead with all the borough business without all this other nonsense, not coming to meetings and everything. That's what I've asked you over and over. I have nothing against Darrell or any of the rest of them. I've been friends with these people for, except Keith, I don't know him, but for years. So it has nothing to do with a personal agenda. It's just, let's move forward and get the business of the borough complete. I mean, there's people waiting for a subdivision, the fire, the lawnmower services. That's and that's what I've said to you over and over.
But you
That
won't
everything
sit down with me and
open.
get an understanding of how you run the borough. I asked you for a subdivision ordinance, you can't get me a subdivision ordinance.
Because we don't have any of those.
How can you sit up here and pass on a subdivision before your board if you don't even have an ordinance? You don't know what's in the ordinance.
Because first of all, I'll interrupt you. First of all, you need to go back to these guys and ask them where the stuff is, Ron.
We've asked over and over.
I've been involved in the mayor for the last, no, now give me the,
I didn't get my question answered.
just a minute, Steve.
I want to.
Last 4 years, hold
what you're
on.
referring
Last
to.
4 years, I've been the mayor. These guys wouldn't share nothing with me. They won't give nothing. There's the stuff that went on from November, December. Where is it? Darrell still got this stuff. We don't have nothing in there. A lot of stuff hasn't been turned back to us. It's a game that Laura Travis played with us and Darrell played with us. I don't care what you think, Ron.
Return.
Right.
All the stuff should be.
Well, how come we can't find it? I looked at the subdivision.
I'm only going.
And I'm telling you what, there was a subdivision in there,
What's
and I know
the
we
legal
had it when I
recourse
was
to get it
on
back?
council. It's gone.
We've had
Or it's hid
subdivision
somewhere.
owners forever.
So it goes back to the last
to get it
council.
back.
They haven't turned the stuff over to us, Ron.
Well, I'll tell you what.
You asked me if I looked for it, I did look for it, and it's not there.
I went to the county planning commission. I had them make me a copy. I went to them and made a copy. It's 100 pages. You're going to pay for it. I brought it here tonight so we can look at that subdivision.
All right, can I get my question
So what
answered?
did you get the subdivision made for?
What?
Who did you get the subdivision made for?
I didn't get any subdivision. It's on your agenda.
It's for me.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
Answer my question, it's already done.
So why don't we go back
Jody
and ask their last council where the stuff is?
I don't know. You asked them.
I do.
I think you have.
They don't know, Darrell.
Mr.
Can I get my-
Williams is
my question
still
answered,
waiting for
please?
his question to be answered,
You
and I
went
would
on a
like to
full-
read the paragraph of the
Please.
email to which he is referring.
Please.
From Attorney Boucher to President Gilren on May 4th. I expect your full and complete cooperation in defending this lawsuit filed against Starrucca Borough by Carly Batesel, as well as the full and complete cooperation of all council members If I find in any way that you or any of the other members of council have kept information from me or have worked to undermine the defense of this action, I will take appropriate steps to bring this to the proper authorities.
What's wrong with that?
Did you send it to all the council members?
Back to me, saying I'm not gonna.
Nope.
No, I just expect you guys to cooperate.
Well, we will.
Good.
And Mr. Boucher, I
But
told
I'm not
you,
gonna
I
defend it,
contacted
Bob.
several, before they hired you, we hired you to be the attorney for the lawsuit, several different law firms to see if they would take the case on, or what they thought about it, before I even had any facts. And I showed you, I told you the names and everything that went to these, they never got back, but they obviously thought it wasn't something they want to deal with. But I told you that several times, that I did, and we can't do anything about a lawsuit until we know what's going on with the lawsuit.
But that's why you hire an attorney, because
Right.
council members don't have that legal advice.
Right, and that's why we hired him to defend the lawsuit.
I need to interview every member of council to find out what each member of council's knowledge is about the facts.
Well, those three weren't on the council when that happened, so why are you asking them? Why don't you ask the old council? To the three of you, I would not do anything for him until you get subpoenaed and say in court under oath.
Well, I certainly will be under oath, because we
Exactly.
didn't know anything about it.
Mr. Boucher also said that he's trying to bring these two factions of council together. This is how he's trying to bring it together. I have offered, this was an email June 3rd to President Reagan from Attorney Boucher. I've offered to sit down with yourself and Darrell Haynes as representatives of the two sides to come to an understanding. Not with the entire council, but with President Reagan and Darrell Haynes.
And you've got to admit, Ron, Gail and myself, and I don't think Jason was involved, but we found all the factors because you wanted to get a phone call set up with Darrell. It ended up that Darrell wouldn't stay on the phone with us.
I stayed on the phone.
Well, you stayed on the phone. Well, what did we call you? Why did you call me? Because you wanted us to talk to Darrell. I was willing
Remember
to
the
talk to
bridge
Darrell.
gate?
I'm not afraid of
Remember
Darrell.
that? Did I not stand
I will-
with you
I
at
will
the bridge
talk to
gate?
you.
Where was the faction then? Right? Was I not over there with you, side by side, shoulder to shoulder, working
I
with
would
you?
probably have phoned that day.
I was on your side until you started this.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion.
Factions.
Calm down.
I would like to make a motion to amend the agenda at the end of the meeting to have an executive session.
All the motions
I'll second
made.
that motion.
All right, all those in favor? Pat?
See, there's your work together.
There we go. Kurt?
No.
Keep saying no.
There you go.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Trustee Connor, yes?
How much simpler could it be, Ron?
Where's
Why would you
the
object
problem?
to have an executive session to sit down and discuss all of this? Why would you not want to do that? When your attorney just said that that's what he wants.
Remember, Darrell?
You know, you keep saying
You've got to have an attorney to
that
know
I'm
the
the
stuff.
attorney for them. I'm the attorney for the entire
I know,
council.
that's what you
And I
said.
get sick and tired of you saying that to me because you're wrong.
You just said an executive session was what you would like
You
from all of
said, you
us.
pointed to them as I'm their attorney. I'm all of your attorneys.
No, I'm gonna stop you right there. I talked to you last Monday, prior to the meeting, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. I specifically asked you to come to the meeting. You specifically said these four were not coming.
That was my belief.
Right, but it was not a guarantee.
That's right.
Right, so why were you here at this meeting?
Because I'm not showing up for nothing.
Well, how did you know that all four members were not showing? You did not know that.
I could-
Sit there and tell me,
Come up with-
no, sit there and tell me right here that you knew all four of them were not coming.
I did not know that.
Well then, why didn't you show up? Because that was the motion that was made. You will be here at every meeting.
Maybe he has other obligations that he can't come. You ever think of that?
I talked
It
to
was
him.
voted on by the council that he attend every meeting because the council feared for their lives.
Before you set up special meetings, you need to clear it with my schedule.
Correct.
Okay.
And we did that. I
Oh, you
told
didn't
to talk
do
to
that.
Gail.
You just set it up.
I told you I would go talk to Gail. As long as you heard from her, you would be here.
Jason, that's it. All right. there was a motion on the floor, it was defeated for an executive session.
So why would you guys want to go in executive session? Don? No, I'll try to repeat. Why would you go in executive session to discuss
It
your
was
case?
asked to start before we see how long this meeting is going. I'd like to start a little bit more refreshed. So if it was requested and we started at 6:30 and we start this meeting at 7 and we get out of this meeting at 9:30 or 10, I'm not going to waste another hour, half an hour to an hour with an executive session when I'm fried at that point.
Could show
That's
up at
why
the
it
last
was
meeting.
asked
So you fried
prior
now?
to the meeting.
So you fried now?
No, I'm not fried.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda, to have an executive session right now.
No, that was to have it after the meeting. This is right now. I
This is a new
second that
motion, the other one's
Get
defeated.
that guy his subdivision first. This guy's been coming for 3 months when these assholes don't show up. Get him his subdivision.
Language.
Sorry.
Bill's defeated anyway, so it's okay.
I got a motion on.
I seconded it.
All those in favor of having an immediate executive session in a private room right now?
How about these people who are here? Hey, just vote on it.
But
Yes or
just
no?
vote.
They've been here at all the meetings you guys have come to.
No.
Kirk?
No. Darrell Haynes, no.
Keith Payne, no.
Dylan, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Power, yes.
I'm a bunch of retards.
Next one to know.
All right, are there any public, all right, moving right along, are there any public
Don't worry about it, Kurt.
so that we can get on with the subdivision and where the Catholic Church from the cemetery, which is a very simple thing.
Well,
All right,
I'm sorry, the old business, the next thing is approval of
Right.
revised January 3rd minutes. I don't feel comfortable with what I have, is he supplied the ones that didn't have the modified motions. I'm asking if it would be all right to do this next month.
absolutely, if we don't have
And I'll
the
make sure-
precise revised
We'll
ones.
make
so
sure
we can
the
have-
revised ones are circulated with
Please,
everybody.
yeah,
so we
please
can start
do.
the meeting prepared.
Okay. The next on the agenda is the approval of the Catholic Church subdivision from the cemetery. Mr. and Mrs. Jody and Dave had purchased the Catholic Church for her business. The cemetery, this gentleman, Dave, is from the diocese. The cemetery was part of the church. The cemetery needs to be not part of the building anymore.
Good evening. Thank you all for your consideration. My name is David Morgan. As you're aware, the Mr. David Verdettos have entered into contract to purchase the Catholic Church. The contract stipulates that they would own the physical structure and the parking lot. As part of the diocese, we have an obligation to the cemetery. The obligation includes maintaining this cemetery in perpetuity. Right? As long as there is a diocese of Scranton, that cemetery will be maintained. It is the financial and moral obligation of the diocese to do that. In an effort to do that, since the Verdettos own the structure and the parking lot, we hired KDA professional engineers from Germany to do a subdivision for us and to create an easement which has been put on the plans and everything. I believe you have copies of everything. And I think given where we are, one of the things that has to be done is we have a statute that has to be moved to a higher ground. But for the most part, it's all completed per your rules. It's been submitted to the county, they made their recommendations, it's now before you.
Yeah, they
One
approved
of
it.
the aspects of this purchase slash subdivision is there will be no new plots. I don't know how many plots are available in that cemetery, but there will be no new sales of any plots to anyone. Now, there may well be a plot that's been in there that's been purchased. It is obviously, and you're much more familiar with it than I am. You're very familiar with the fact that it is a very old cemetery. Right? I have no idea if there are plots in there that have been paid for, that at some point someone has a right for a burial. If that's the case, then obviously that contract has to be honored. But for someone new to come to purchase a plot to be buried there, that's not gonna happen. We've closed that book. And all that we ask, and the Rudettos have agreed to it, we've worked this out in the contract, is that the once a month or twice a month that groundskeepers are gonna come to mow the grass, that we have the easement to do that. We won't be doing anything more to the cemetery other than to keep it as appearances, because we owe that to those parishioners that are there. Right? It has to be kept. One of the conditions that when the Rudettos bought the building was that the structure and its use would purport to its location. We could have sold it to a number of people, but it had to be purporting with its general venue. For instance, we were not going to have a go-go club in there or a bar or something like that. That wasn't going to happen. So that's why I'm here, and I would ask that in consideration that the subdivision that we have submitted to you through KDA Engineering be reviewed and approved.
It has been approved by the county already.
Right, the maps have been submitted.
Right.
Okay, you said there's a contract, can you provide us with a copy of that written contract?
The contract to purchase,
No, you said it was a contract for maintenance and, for the cemetery.
well, the diocese, when we split it off, right, the diocese owns the cemetery.
That I understand, but you said it was a contract that would guarantee that the diocese would always maintain the cemetery.
Well, the diocese, so the diocese owns the cemetery, and every cemetery the diocese owns, we maintain.
Right,
But
they have their own
There's no
maintenance.
contract with the diocese itself.
It has nothing to
maintain
do
its
with
own
the
property.
borough or anything, it's their own
Go
maintenance.
back to the Borough Code, if a cemetery is abandoned, the minute it falls back on.
It's not abandoned, it's still.
No,
run.
I didn't say it is, I said if, I have.
No, let me be more clear to you, sir, I apologize. The cemetery will in fact be on a separate deed to the diocese's grant.
Correct.
Right? So there is no abandonment issues of this cemetery now.
Can you guarantee that in writing then?
You're gonna vote out again, aren't you? You're trying to wait things in your way to this building, aren't you?
I don't.
This is bordering a little bit on the ridiculous because that church,
Comments in the back, you gotta throw him out.
I was
You can't
speaking,
be making
Mr.
those
Boucher.
comments. He's interrupted.
I was speaking.
You have the floor, but he is.
You're interrupting me. You're the one interrupting me. That church has not been used for years. For years. Yet they've still been maintaining the cemetery. You've never once, since they desanctified the church and no one's used it, asked to see all this stuff, guaranteeing that they're going to maintain that cemetery and keep it. So why all of a sudden now?
You know what, let's just forget the
Because
comment.
we're
Go
gonna
ahead,
have
go ahead.
cemetery that you don't
All right.
Let's
know
move on.
anymore.
Let's make a motion.
I make a motion that we approve the subdivision for the Catholic
You
cemetery.
can't do it. He's got 7 things that haven't been completed. Where's the map? Do we have amended maps? I don't think you people know how to do a subdivision.
I think
We did run the check.
Yeah, sure, let's go to approve it, even though your letter says there's 7 problems with it.
Mr.
Did you read the letter?
Yes, I just did. You didn't let me address it.
KDA has submitted and corrected all of
Well,
it.
let's look at the map and make sure. Where's the map?
It's been submitted, Mr. Boucher, I don't
The
have it.
council should have it tonight. You can't approve it without looking at it.
Do I have that? All that goes to the secretary.
I mean, we've sent everything over.
Listen,
I
Wilson,
don't know,
they're trying to
yeah,
get the
but
church.
you can't,
They are trying to get that.
you can't approve this without going through this, looking, like,
This
this
is
is the cash. We
bullshit.
looked at the letter, we went on the map.
I understand that.
That's the way you approve subdivision.
Well, it is, I thought we had,
Yeah, because Charlie was supposed to have everything there, but his, obviously, the deed.
did he give you anything else, Ray?
I mean, no, these are all
I don't know,
files.
they've been
that
waiting
we-
months for this, months.
And they were just in here.
All those many meetings that we had that these nice people
Yeah, he
came
was
to,
going to,
and
the
these people
subdivision
did not
was
show up.
on the agenda, he was supposed to have everything there.
Okay.
He's got a folder, so
So
you
you
think
say that that's all
We have, I spoke with Jack, I believe his last name is Simpson at KDA. He and I talked about that in detail. And he assured me that everything was addressed and corrected. They amended maps, they sent it to the county. And as far as it is my understanding and impression, that everything that was needed to be done has been done. And we submitted that to the borough secretary.
Okay, so let's do it this way. Let's make it a tentative vote, as long as everything is satisfied through our plan and the county, that will be approved, so we can get a look at the map. So if everything is satisfied on that, instead of waiting for another month for these guys to come back.
So I think what Mr. Down was saying makes sense, which is a conditional approval,
Yes, Mr. Boucher.
which means you're going to approve it, presuming that we can check, meaning the solicitor would check to see that all 7 things have been addressed properly on the amended maps.
And let me give you my assurance, Mr. Boucher. If you find something that in fact you believe is in error or that is not what you believe to be correct, I'm giving you my assurance standing here tonight that will be attended to immediately.
Well, one thing we usually do this in other municipalities is we'd like to see a copy of the proposed deed that would have the covenants in it about the maintenance and the easement. To
Well-
make sure that the easement's there and the covenant to maintain the cemetery. And the reason that's important is if you don't, the maintenance of the cemetery could come back on the borough, and nobody wants it to come back on the borough. So,
I realize what you're saying, but I think the way that, as the diocese has done this with all the cemeteries that we own, right, and they own many cemeteries. I don't know that they've ever done that, but every cemetery the diocese owns is maintained by them. I've never seen them. For instance, you're familiar with Lackawanna County. There was a person named Rogan who owned 5 or 6 cemeteries, stole all the money, he's now in prison. He was a private owner. The diocese has never had that type of a circumstance.
Well, it's been 2,000 years and the Catholic Church hasn't disappeared yet. I don't see that.
I can't tell you how long it will be here.
That's a lot longer.
So I will amend my motion then, since I have a motion on the floor,
Right.
to state that we will conditionally approve this subdivision, providing all of the issues have been addressed.
And what are the issues?
The
Because-
secretary will send everything to
Mr.
Mr.
Boucher has that
Boucher.
letter, so I can't tell you what it says.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor of the conditional approval of this subdivision? And
Jack, who seconded it?
Start over there.
But
I second it.
But you want to wait to get his legal opinion on what the conditions
He
are?
already said that we should do this. He's already said.
But he
I would
also,
like to see a copy of the deed.
but he also says also.
Proposed.
right,
Well, I'll have them sent to you this week. Okay, it's not a problem, Mr. Boucher.
so that's the problem, not a problem, he's going to get it. Ted?
So it's these things and the proposed deed to check for conditions.
Right,
I said, start right over there, go ahead.
yeah, I asked you.
I'm not giving you no answer.
You can't vote till you see how the other people vote.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. Boucher, you said you wanted to see the deed.
I want to see the proposed deed
Proposed
to
deed.
be sure that the conditions in there protect the borough. And also, the 7 conditions on the planning letter of March 22nd, March 22nd.
Now, yeah, do you want both deeds, because we're giving Burdetto the deed? And
Yes,
the cemetery will be on its own deed.
correct.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna provide you copies of both deeds.
That's fine. Both deeds, and then if I get an amended map somehow, I can check it out real fast and get you.
I'll get you a map.
I get it right away.
Thank you.
And you'll forward those deeds back to Borough.
Borough Secretary said.
I'll get maps for
What
you
do you
this
mean?
week.
So then,
Already?
Now, you're also in Homestead.
I'm near the courthouse.
All right, you'll have the map tomorrow.
So excuse me, but did you say you sent the deeds and everything already to Struck Borough?
Not the deeds, that wasn't something.
So you
that-
gotta send us the deed.
Right.
Once you get a copy, review it, and send it to Borough.
I will send it back to the borough.
Start over there. And I'll make up my mind when you get here.
I gotta
May
make
I
up my
ask
mind.
you, may I say something, please?
Sure.
Mr. Boucher, do you want, when I send the deeds to you? Do you want me to also send them to the secretary at the same time, or just you?
If you'd like to, that's okay.
They either have to say yes, no, or abstain.
Secretary certainly should have it.
I'll send it to you and to his name is Charlie, right?
Yeah, Charlie Racy.
When you think,
I'll
we
send
have the
I'll
address,
send everything to everybody.
Send it to
you
Rick.
can get the address and everything.
Yeah, I'll circle back with you, make sure you send this to the second.
Just the conditions off. I don't think the original, thank you. I need to review them first.
You're welcome. All right, I'll send you down.
Send it down.
Yeah, we want, that's why I hired KDA to make sure that.
Right, so that is, all right.
Second.
The motion was made by Kristen,
Yes.
seconded by Jack. Now, did you?
Yeah.
Yes, okay. All right, Ed, do we have a vote?
Okay, I don't have to give you an answer right this second.
Well, yes, we.
This is a roll call vote. You're all
Just jump on.
Yes or no, on the condition that is been stated.
Condition that all the requirements are met.
Right.
Our attorney has.
Right,
I vote
right.
yes.
Darrell,
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gilman, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen, yes.
All right,
Tom Lane Jr., yes.
So you got your approval, okay?
okay. All right, thank you, David.
Thank you, Mr. Boucher, thank you all.
Yeah, now, as quick as I can, I did it.
All right,
I'm not worried about this, but this, I'll be proposing ahead, because I guarantee you the church and the diocese will comply.
We do apologize for your inconvenience.
right.
It's not an issue, I thank each and every one of you for your consideration, and I appreciate it.
And thank you so much.
The only thing I have now is I have a car that drives to Starrucca on Monday night, so if it shows up, please put gas in it and send it back.
Good luck, get tough.
I'm glad I don't live in this borough.
I don't
All
want
right, moving right along.
If anything goes for sale, I'm going the other way.
Status of borough lawn and ground maintenance. We have a bid from Tom Swartz.
you, but I can't get it subdivided.
Okay, excuse me.
Yeah.
We're on for lawn mowing. We have a bid for mowing from Tom Swartz. Now, it's already, this was from May, this is already June, but he wanted 3 payments of $675 to be made at the end of June, August, and October. He also has his insurance and everything else in here. We have to have someone to mow and maintain the ball field and memorial.
So, to this point, the memorial has been mowed for all of May
Right.
by the mayor.
Yeah.
And the ball field has been mowed at least once by Mr. Williams.
No, I didn't go there.
Tom ended up mowing. Tom's been mowing.
Oh, I
Tom's been
thought you
mowing.
said Stephen went down there.
No.
Tom mowed.
My issue with the lawn mowing is we need to have a written contract.
He's got one right here.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, based on the years of damage that I have seen to the memorial, that is put in there that any damage done by the lawnmower and a weed eater to any of these structures, flowers, walkway in the memorial is taken care of by Mr. Schwartz.
Well, she discussed it with you last meeting about weed whacking and stuff over there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So everything's done,
I mowed it once.
Yeah.
I
okay.
mowed the monument. Then also,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, the Thursday before Memorial Day.
Okay.
They mowed the ball
Yes.
field the same,
And
same day.
it was done, and there was no grass in my flowers, so I was very pleased, thank you.
Okay.
But I did do.
I make a motion, we hire Tom and the contractor.
Does that include the church lawn, your grounds?
Hell
No, we're not hiring for the church. But,
But that's part of the agreement that was signed with the borough.
I make a motion, we hire Tom as part of, as this agreement, with same agreement as last year.
this is, he has
I
a ball
second that
field
motion.
and community hall.
Person for what he's done.
All right, the motion is,
That's a question.
yes, Tom.
I'm going to stay.
Okay. The trees over there, there's 2 trees, there's one on
Right,
each side.
right.
They're also, right, the way the branches are, they're really low, they're also, you know.
They've all been trimmed.
No, can I trim them? Can I trim them?
You can
Not, please not without
I mean-
supervision from somebody.
I mean,
There, you need a book, more than they were, because he trimmed, they were trimmed way up.
Yeah.
Have you seen it since then?
Well, see, because I mean, when you lay it down, and also, see, so when I drive through there, and also, I get hit the head, and also with it. And also, see, because I'm trying to move like this, so also, you know, I trim those couple of tree branches.
I trimmed them
I
Friday.
make it easier and safer for me.
He trimmed them
I trimmed them Friday.
Friday, before,
Monday, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Monday.
yeah,
Morning.
before the, and so you checked
all
it out, but
Trimmed off.
they're all trimmed up, so you should be fine there.
Okay. Okay, so they were done after,
Yes.
you know.
Right. That Monday, yeah, you were there on Thursday, and then this was on Monday, the one next Monday.
Also,
All right, there's a motion of, what?
I said, also you said that the church is gonna have something going on down at the ball field for the
The
4th.
2nd of July, it's the 2nd of July.
Okay,
The Body of Christ Church is
The
doing,
2nd of
yes,
July.
the 2nd,
Okay,
right.
all right, so I'll go and I'll have that all mowed and announced by then.
Thank you, appreciate that very much.
There's gonna be a lot of dead grass there,
Yeah,
so.
there's not much you can do about that.
Try to mow it as much as you can down until then.
Just keep mowing it as much as you can, like you say, until you maybe mulch it in or something. If we get rain, that will help.
Yeah.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to hire Tom Schwartz to do the ball field and the memorial at the
As per
community
the
hall.
contract.
As per the contract. 3 payments of $675 to be made at the end of June, August, and October. There has been a second. We entertain a vote. Pat?
No.
Kirk?
No. Darrell Haynes, no.
Keith Payne, no.
Gil Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Power, yes?
Why would you not want to have the borough maintained?
Well, we do. If you want to include what's in the contract between the church and the borough, then put that in a motion and it'll be voted on.
But that's not the contract he's submitting.
Right.
So why don't you just do this
I have
contract
a
and make the
contract.
second contract?
I had a contract there in the beginning of May,
Right.
and also, you guys didn't have a meeting.
Just,
and
that having brought a separate
You
contract.
guys want to
So
set the
that's
contract, do it.
so that's not-
That's damn long. if you-
I thought that you guys would have.
Having to do a separate contract.
If he needs to present.
Ronnie, you say that you just, it's just a common sense thing here. You get our lawn, our ball field mowed.
Right, and our Veterans Memorial.
The man come through and mowed it so we can get it done.
I don't know what you're looking at me for, I don't have a vote.
Well, you're saying how there's such a disagreement. Well, this is why we can't work with these
Right.
people. They just want to upset everything in town.
Well,
So-
just another contract. Have him to.
I'm there too.
We all one contract.
I gave you my whole explanation.
But then he's, by then there'll be another meeting.
We're going to do it. We're going to have him amend his contract.
July.
Ask him to amend his contract to include the church right tonight and take a vote on it. That's what you gotta do. He can just amend it and initial it. That's what you gotta do. He doesn't have to go to another meeting.
Is that are you putting forward a motion?
Pardon?
Are you putting forward a motion to do?
No, but she said we had to wait for another meeting. I said,
You put forward a motion then to have him
no,
amend it with the Baptist
I
Church.
said you could have him do it. I didn't say, I
But
didn't.
we have to have a motion for that. You just can't say do it. You've got to have a motion and vote it
If
on.
somebody wants to make a motion and include it.
Well, you make it. You made the suggestion.
You guys hold it up.
Wants to do it, go ahead.
What a joke.
Kirk, somebody make a motion that you wanted it in there.
They're so eager to work
Tom.
together.
Yeah, really.
If you were to amend your contract to include the Baptist church grounds, how much would
I
that
don't
go up?
know.
Would you be
I don't-
willing to amend that
I
contract?
don't have no idea how much it goes for the, around.
So why do we not just vote on this?
And then have him do a separate.
And then have him write another one for the church.
Write another contract for the church with what he thinks, because he doesn't really know how much it would be,
It's
so.
about the same size as this, the parking lot over the community hall.
You know what, I have to say, and I know that Mr. Boucher is gonna get fitty with me, but I am sick and tired of people in this borough, on this council, disrespecting our veterans and the people from this community The borough washes their hands of it. We have someone who wants to mow it, as well as the ball field that doesn't get used. And you guys are denying it because you're being petty because you want the church on there. We could have passed this and then just had to figure out how much it would cost for the church. And this goes back to, not you, Keith, but what kind of you with my son's Eagle Project? The three of you throughout the years saying, pay for it yourself, work on the memorial yourself, the borough doesn't care.
Yeah, right.
It's
All right.
ridiculous.
All right, moving right along. Make a motion, pass, we can hire him, and then have him write a separate contract when he goes down to see how much work it is and how much he's going to do. There'll be trimming and everything else. But we've got to get this.
We can't vote on it because Mr. Boucher said something we already voted on, we can't re-vote on it. So how can we put ours on?
All right,
All right,
that got defeated. So, they want to do something different with it, let them do something different with it. There's the
then you come
contract.
up with a contract and you come up with something to take care of the ball field. Because we're expecting probably 500 people on July 2nd. And my church does have a ball field that's mowed.
And they won't be there.
It's time for another lawsuit against you four clowns, everybody needs to be.
All right, moving right along.
Here is the contract for Northeast Inspection.
So I don't do nothing
Consultants.
until you guys all agree on it?
Yep, that's the way it is.
Right here.
Just remember before shooting it down.
Your, what was that?
As Jack has spoken to you about,
We'll see how it's gonna
we'll
play
see how
out.
it's going to be.
Your contract got defeated, what else can we say?
Okay.
Okay,
All right, now we have the final review and signing of Northeast Inspection Consultants. They've been waiting on this also. This is the agreement for services through NEIC, Northeast Inspection, and if you'd like to peruse it, that's the standard contract. And she has also been waiting a long time for this to be taken care of. It's just the standard contract.
I didn't know how much they charged.
Yeah.
Did you see how much they charged? Is it pretty?
Yeah, it's standard.
I'll be honest with you, when I first talked to them in February, I used the existing, I forget the other company that we used.
The IU?
Yeah, I basically sent them their price list and said, this is what we're currently doing.
Right.
So it shouldn't really be any different.
do you have anything to add on to that contract, or just, you're here to get her done?
I'm just gonna call the paperwork and have our first term done.
Or you got your first clean or you done good? First
Again,
permit
Appalachian's
all
always been super friendly and polite.
the way. Yeah, they're super good people, so.
I make a motion that we accept the contract
I'll second it. All those
with
in
NEIC.
favor? And
I want to hear a motion again.
Jack Dodd makes a motion to accept the NEIC contract.
Yes.
Who seconded it?
aye.
Yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Carter, yes.
We can't do any status of the audit because there's no one here for that. Thompson Hose has been waiting for their contract also. So we could entertain a motion to, there's their profit loss statement, and it's just their standard, council being duly elected, it's about the fire tax and the millage. You can peruse that, that's standard. They have been waiting also a long time for that, approval of that.
Well,
I make a motion to enter into the contract with Thompson Hose.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
all right, well, I'd like to discuss that a little bit, because it comes back to what I had asked you about them not doing, they changed the fire tax and the regular borough tax, and they didn't do it by ordinance. And, come up. Darrell had a resolution that he had handed around the table at November. It's not in the borough stuff. So Darrell, you have that resolution that you had that supposedly was signed in 2020. Where is that resolution? There's nothing in the borough file. I went and looked through the 20 and 21 stuff. There's nothing in there.
Okay, I had a copy of it, and the original is in the borough file to the secretary.
Well, the secretary did not give us a lot of anything.
2020, they
Well,
called it.
there's a motion on the floor.
They just put it down and advertised that they were changing the taxes, what the rate of the taxes was. But they never did anything by ordinance.
Yeah.
And there was nothing ever done on a vote for a resolution or an ordinance in 2020, in 2021. And then in November of 2021, Darrell comes up and he's got this resolution that was signed.
Let's vote on this is the 2022 contract that they've been waiting for, and then we'll get into this discussion.
No, because by voting on that, you're voting on tax money that may not be valid because we were paying 0.14 millage and they upped it to 0.28 millage.
They doubled it, right?
So they doubled it. So I don't want to vote on something if the taxes weren't done right.
You aren't happy with Thompson Hose Company, go to Susquehanna and question, see what they charge.
Hey Kurt,
It's not-
that's not the issue here, so stop going around the thing. The bottom line is, did you do an ordinance, did you change taxes by borough code? Did you or didn't you?
I don't know.
Sure you don't. Amnesia struck a borough.
I'd have to look into it, and you can give me some documentation what they are.
I can't get it. Darrell's got
I had a copy of the
it.
resolution.
Okay, give me your copy then, so you can send it to Boucher.
Yeah, if we could have
Can I have your copy
I'll
then?
give it to Mr. Boucher, and then we'll table this until next month
There's a
because,
motion and a second on the floor to vote on it.
I'm sorry, I missed 2 seconds. I'm sorry.
Nobody.
Darrell, and then Kurt seconded.
Okay, thank you.
if there's a motion on the floor, we have to vote on it. Ted?
Yes.
Yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gilbert, yes.
Jack abstains on taxes not being done properly.
Mr. Carter, no.
But we need to investigate all of that. Darrell, if you would give your copy,
No problem, do an ordinance on it.
just, give your copy to Mr. Boucher, then. What you have, Darrell, because we don't, most of the things we don't, information we don't have.
That's what we got sent to me, I went over there.
Right.
I can't find it, Ron, that's my problem. Darrell's withholding it.
It's going to be last fall.
Also, moving right along,
Well, let's let her finish up.
I'm sorry.
I just have the first permit and the check that was paid for you guys, and I have paperwork for anybody who needs permits. They can come here and get it. Everybody else can get it online on our website.
She's from Northeast.
oh, thank you.
I love that.
That's good. That's good.
$69.50.
So whenever we do get permits, we will send people up here to just drop them off for you guys.
Okay.
Already paid, checks, everything. The only question is, where do we go? Here? When we have permits ready to go, I can't because I think you guys said you're meeting tonight.
You can just mail them to the post office box? Or you don't want to do that?
They're usually not that small, they're usually much larger, because it's the whole folder, the folder
Right,
is yours.
yeah, I've seen those, okay. Let's follow up after this and I'll figure out, I'll work
Right.
with Charlie and figure
That
out.
was great, and then you.
And then,
Pertinent info.
do you need a signed copy of this now before you walk out?
I have a signed copy and actually, here for you guys.
And then Gail needs to sign it then, right?
Nope, she signed it.
Oh, she did?
Yes.
So I have it all ready to go, I have the signed copy by both the borough and our agency, and I have the fee schedule in there as well. So you can check me there, and if you guys need more paperwork or anything, reach out, put it on, no problem.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
No problem.
All right, I have G on here. All written and verbal communication with Thompson Hose Company from 2016 to 2021.
That hasn't been forthcoming. It was asked for, it hasn't been forthcoming as of yet.
Asked for it by whom? From whom?
From Chad. This has to have the borough seal. For Thompson, that's the contract for Thompson Homes. Missing ordinance book, missing bound minute books, 2021 missing minutes, we're missing a lot of information. Whether this has to be pursued somehow, because we cannot go forward unless we have the ordinance book. We can't go forward unless we have the minutes from 2021, and we cannot go forward until we have the bound minute books, where there's minutes are all signed and sealed and in the bound book. We've asked for that, and I know you sent a letter to Mrs. Travis.
If I can come to ready, Madam President.
Sure.
I know when I was the solicitor back when, Jack alluded to it, I remember having bound books, because I remember instructing you needed the bound books.
Right.
Then I was not the solicitor for several terms, and I don't know what happened then, I'm back now. However, you've got to, the law requires these things to be in bound volumes.
Right.
Now, if we don't have, I presume that there's no way to get them from anybody, you know, or Travis
The
doesn't have
past
them.
secretary
Travis
has
doesn't have
them, they have to have had them, because they had them through the years, so, but they just need to turn over.
Let me just
what they
ask
had.
this, so it's on record. Keith, did you have the ordinance book? You were the secretary in
We had one, I
2016
thought I knew.
and 17.
Ordinance book, I can't speak for. I can speak for the bound minute book because I had ordered a new one. The other one filled up, and I had been adding to that.
Where did it go after you left as secretary?
You gave everything to Demi, right? From the Lord?
Correct.
Then they
So-
should,
so
they
that's-
should come back.
To my
If-
knowledge,
if we-
everything was given.
And I will say that you had the ordinance book back then because I had put a rights to know in on an ordinance and you had gave it back to me at the end of 17. So you did review the ordinance book as of the end of 17.
Can I ask you a question? Do you recall if copies of your ordinances, when you were passed, were sent to the Wayne County Courthouse, because they're supposed to be sent?
As
Because then they might have another copy, you might be able to reconstruct at least the ordinances.
At least that,
We know what we
the
said.
minute books.
Well, I will add that when Dave and I moved the files from the old Borough Hall here, we did it in a rush, it was snowing, but there were some books I did not review. There were two, I believe, that were in the silver file cabinet. I don't know.
Were they bound, right?
They were bound books. I don't know. I did not review the dates or anything that was in there. They're all sitting inside the storage locker here. That hasn't been, never had a chance to review it when I was secretary, to see what it is. But there also were unbound copies of ordinances loose in the records in 2018 and 2019.
Okay, you
So-
might be able to get the copies from the Wayne County Courthouse.
And we need to investigate what bound books, whether
Yeah,
are they
that's right.
old ones or is it the up-to-date minute books?
Right.
That this needs to be investigated. All right,
And also, just by the way, for the council's information, bound books cost about $55, $60 for 300 pages.
so if we don't have one, we need to start, so that we can start with January, and because they have to be signed, they have to have the borough seal. That's the law. Update on the lawsuit, that there's
I can
nothing
tell,
more.
well, without going into strategy tactics and
Right, right.
strategy for the executive session, I can tell you that of public filings, summons was filed initially. I forced them to file a complaint, they filed a complaint. The complaint names 4 former members of Starrucca Borough Council, as well as Starrucca Borough's defendants. Our office filed what's known as preliminary objections to the complaint, saying that the complaint was deficient and needs to be either stricken or amended. There was an argument scheduled on these preliminary objections, but the other side that's represented the plaintiff asked for a continuance, so I agreed to let them continue the case. It's now coming up for argument in August of 2022 on the preliminary objections. Once the objections are resolved, one way or the other, the case will either be dismissed, or they'll amend the complaint, or we have to plead to the complaint. and then we get into the merits of the case. And then that's when we get into depositions, discovery, meetings, and more executive sessions.
Okay.
Is that a public argument or a private?
It's a public argument, Jack.
And what's the date, August 8th?
I sent it to President Glenn, I have it.
I have it,
I see if I can tell you where it
back
is.
there. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
I'll
You
give
can
it,
get it.
I'll give it the date. I have it back there. All right, so that's it, okay. Did we have an update, Darrell, on the,
Yes, we have.
about the,
We have an addendum that needs to be signed and sent to redevelopment authority. And we were awarded the road projects.
$4,134 is to be paid by Starrucca Borough. Now, what does that amount for? Usually every grant that I've ever gotten, and I've gotten many, they covered everything, we never paid a penny. So why are we paying $4,134? What is that for?
Because when the borough applied for the grant money, they agreed to pay up to $1,500 for each application for each road.
Oh, so was that in your proposal? Your proposal that you did for this grant? Or when was this grant
That
proposal
was
made?
part of the original application.
2 years ago. Okay, so you agreed to pay that kind of money?
So if you could go back and change the original contract, why didn't you change that? And get it
So
eliminated?
how much is the borough paying in,
$4,134.
and how much is the grant paying in?
$131,352.
To me, that sounds like a great deal to have 3 roads improved. The way
Yeah.
they're being improved for
For the
$4,000.
taxpayers, it's a great deal. You're kidding me, Keith? How much did we just spend, on the upper end of Kellogg, how much did we just spend about 4 years ago? How much did we spend about 4 years ago on the upper 410
I don't know how
Kellogg?
much
It's
was
been
it.
abandoned.
How much was it?
And it's not even in the borough. It was 35, it was actually 3,408,
It's been abandoned.
34, yes. Go and look in the records. That was vacated. Back in 1944.
Jack, sorry, we just don't see eye to eye, that's unfortunate.
You're right, we don't, because you're not, I'm on council to bring stuff to the town, not for 4/10 of a mile.
We're improving
from our property.
infrastructure, $130-some thousand, and the borough is chipping in $4,000 for that. I think that is a heck of a deal, and I'll be on record to say that, so.
So why wouldn't you just cut it down on the bottom? How many times, let me just ask you about the Penn Hill project. In the last 4 or 5 years, how many times?
The Penn Hill project.
Well, it's right there. So anyway, what I'm saying is,
You're referring back to the Penn Hill project, the upper end of Penn Hill project.
no,
is that-
now I'm down on the bottom of
Okay.
Penn Hill.
Yeah.
That thing had totally washed out 4 times, or 2 times in the last 4 years or so, correct?
I can't speak to that.
Well, you were down
I've
there
been
when
on
it washed
council
out.
for 2 years, I can't speak.
It washed out down to Charlie Love Trucks, it washed out up there. So if you were really gonna be doing what was the due diligence for the town, why wouldn't you have put a big sluice in there and not worried about the upper, how many ever thousands feet that you're putting this material on, that was already put material down to 2017?
I believe so.
Yeah, there's already been a sluice put
Yeah,
in
the
the hill.
sluice pipe was put in, I believe.
Now, why didn't you
after
put a
that.
big one in so it could handle it? It already showed that the sluice pipe couldn't handle it, that size.
I'm in new agreement. See, I have a right to speak, right? I'm
Absolutely, you do.
One of the reasons for fixing Penn Hill, because it could not handle the water flow. And one of the things that was changed April 6th was eliminate sluice pipes. Then the other 1,000 feet on the end up by the Carpenter Road Committee, which that road is in good shape. Why don't you take the extra, instead of doing money up there, fix the sluice pipes so it would have adequate drainage? Instead, you're fixing the road up the upper end. There's no houses probably in the last 700 feet of it. And it's all
We went ahead
on
and-
your property, your brothers, the same way Bucks Road and the same way with the other road. There's all ties to it. Once
I believe, Dave.
Coxton Lake Road, Jacob's Ladder.
Hold it, Dave. Okay, hold it. On Jacob's Ladder, I believe we were given a map last year where we had the opportunity to apply for dirt and gravel money on Jacob's Ladder. what did you do with that map, that dirt and gravel center?
I gave it to Mary Ann DeBacco.
Okay, but I mean, when he was there last year to apply for grant money for Jacob
So
Flat.
why didn't you do it then? You worked on your road, why didn't you do it on that
And
one?
I'll tell you what happened right now. Kirk Brown and I talked one Saturday morning, right off my mailbox.
That's what I'm trying to get in the meeting.
You said, I don't know
They
anything about
asked
it.
you to do it, Dave.
Yes, I asked you, you said, what is this? And I told you what it was. Yes, and I told him I'm not doing it. But when I asked you about it, you said, I don't know anything about this. I said, well, I can't go to the meeting
I
Monday
didn't
night.
at the time.
You give it, would you turn this in? I don't want nothing to do with it. I don't want the map. So I put that Mary Ann DeBacco, and she didn't come to that meeting that night. So, yeah, I was gonna do it because he told me, why wasn't he doing it, or you had a road committee to go around and get signatures. And he says, well, I got too much on my plate. Well, he's not the only man that has a farm that works and is busy. You got a road committee, you should have had one of them go around, get people to sign 30
Okay.
It's my
right.
fault that they didn't get it.
Then go ahead
No, it's not.
then why
But
don't you
you're
go
gonna
ahead
help
and
me.
pursue it this year then?
It's not my fault. I turned the papers over to Mary Ann DeBacco. She was on the road committee.
It's not on the borough council, that is, that you should never decide your
It should be your job.
But that's now,
Why?
But it wasn't back
But
then.
they can follow up on it right now. They
He
can go ahead and
wasn't
follow up
there.
on it.
But then that all goes back to the borough council goes together and then decides, okay, we're gonna apply for this grant with recommendations from the road committee. You just don't send a civilian out and say, you've gotta handle this.
I didn't say he
That
had
didn't
any.
make sense.
The only thing I asked him was to contact landowners along where that was.
To get a right of way.
Right, to see who could
But
get
that
right.
should have been a council member doing that.
That's right.
A council member should have been doing that.
So
because
what kind
that-
of grant was that, Darrell?
Dirt and gravel, conservation.
Did you ever get dirt and gravel grants before?
Penn Hill.
Oh, who got the landowners signed on Penn Hill?
We got the ones that couldn't, the ones that couldn't, we, stayed within the right of way.
So who actually did them? They did do them.
You know, I can't recall who did them now.
Well, I can tell you who it was you. Because when I was mayor, I got the letter from the attorney that the peoples up on the left are suing you, or possibly suing you and had an attorney because you wanted to run a 3-foot ditch out through their yard. So, yeah, that was to benefit you and your brother.
You know, these roads do not have to be completed until August of 2023.
Right.
We're spending so much money here in the borough. Now, you gotta realize, Kelly, we're responsible for all the pre-grading work. We get the graders to cut these roads before they do any work.
That's
where
right.
necessary.
Yeah.
And you got that expense coming with it. You're spending thousands and thousands of dollars in lawyer fees and all these back bills and things.
That's right.
Maybe Buck Road should be done, that's the cheapest, let the other two go until next summer.
I concur with that.
Where are you finding the money?
The money's not
Right,
with this.
do Bucks Road and then let the other two wait until next summer. I mean, why not?
August 23, they have to, August 31st of 23, they have to have them done by.
Right, so that's a whole other year. That way the borough would
And
build up their
Buck Road is
coffers.
going to be the cheapest. the shortest.
DEC is the one that bids these out, and they're the ones that require what we want. And what?
No, they're wrong. You're wrong. They're not requiring what gets done. These guys are telling what they want done. They don't even have a clue until they come up and put the bid out.
Right.
Get yourself somewhere else, Kirk.
I make a motion to amend the agenda and to sign the addendum A through Wayne County Redevelopment Authority for the Bucks, Kellogg, and Penn Hill Road projects.
I'll second it.
There's a motion on the floor. You vote, Ted?
Yes.
Kurt Brown, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gilbert, no.
Jack, no.
Krista Potter, no.
That just means it's a contract.
Would you read that motion back and vote?
Right.
And Darrell, you seconded it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so Keith makes a motion to amend the agenda and assign the addendum A through Wayne County Authority for the road projects on Penn Hill, Bucks Road, and Kellogg Road.
But then we can contact Wayne County Development and
They're not going to do any more grants. Well, I understood this is the last grant they're going to be doing.
Right, that's the last grant they're going to be
So
doing.
some other organization that will handle grants, but
Right.
this money is there until August of 23.
Right, maybe they have to be in the beginning, so we don't have such a big output.
Okay. I showed you this in Mary Ann when you guys were up to that auction. Here's, Ron, this is the issues that I have. We just got done on Fairmont Road. This is a major sluice, a 4-foot sluice on it. And that is where, you can see the sluice is all rotted out on the bottom. And this is where the argument is, that's the sluice on the upper end. This is where there's holes in it. And that's why I'm sitting here saying, we need work back on these roads, not just jumping and doing the roads that are on their property. Yeah, hole in the ground that goes all the way down, about 15-foot drop off.
Was that prior to the material being put on, et cetera? I mean, this,
Yes,
okay,
yes, and it's still there.
okay.
So, and the sluice, Picus didn't change that the other day. This is something that you guys were aware of, but you just ignored it. That's a safety issue for Starrucca Borough. This is a sluice with a 15-foot drop off on about both sides.
It's bad.
Based on who's
And
People live there.
I
just common
understand
sense to
that.
heart.
But they just run 80,000-pound loads over that, and it didn't impact it a bit when they did the road. They put 5,000, roughly 5,000 pounds.
Why weren't these things corrected though?
I mean, this is just a nonsense for people to run.
We went.
All right, okay, so that's.
So if someone does go through it and the borough gets sued,
Hand that to the.
you folks should be the
secretary.
ones that should be liable. Because you're
All right, we
ignoring
have-
common sense.
No, you can have a copy, that stays with the borough.
Okay, that's gonna be sent to.
That's going to be sent to, through by the secretary, that's how you legally do things.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't just hand it off to someone and say, what if you forgot, what if you lost it?
Generally, the
That's-
secretary handles it.
The
But-
secretary handles it.
Right, but within aspects, it said that Keith Payne and I would,
Write the specs.
Right, right, the specs, but that doesn't mean you.
Right, but oversee it with redevelopment also.
No.
Yes.
That was not in the, no, that, overseeing, that was not in.
Okay,
All right.
so now going back to that motion, Darrell, you just brought up, good point. Your motion was to redo the specs, so you redid the specs, but
No, it's not redo the specs.
Not redo
What
it,
was
the specs.
To do the specs.
what was the thing? How'd you do it?
Talk to redevelopment again, maybe that'll.
No.
Because obviously, there's a language issue here, because we've gone through this.
But what I'm saying is, if you guys could redo the
To
specs,
not redo the specs, there was the original application, and then there was the need through redevelopment for the borough to draft the specs. Okay, there was the original application,
Yeah.
and then there were the specs.
Mhm.
We got it, okay?
okay, so
Stop
the
saying
specs are
redoing
done.
the specs.
What they are, when you do that, I went to those meetings myself, and what they are, when you do those specs, they're estimated specs.
No, they aren't, there's an estimate, it's not specs. There's a
Right,
difference.
they're estimates.
They're estimates, they're not specs.
All right,
And that's what I'm talking about.
right,
You can call it.
All right.
Well, that's your estimate.
let's move on.
Now, same way with dirt and gravel.
Let's move on.
Now, wait a minute,
You-
Dale.
you-
I have a chance to talk, no, I'm not at the end of the table.
Right, but you,
No,
and
damn it.
it's the same thing, you,
No,
everything's
wait a
going,
minute.
the same thing was
When
already
you get
said.
back to Jacob Ladder,
Oh, don't wanna go there.
no, wait a minute, I was on that.
I know you were, falsely filed for.
I was on that committee, Jack, and I was the only man at that time in this borough, on this council, that was certified through the soil conservation. Mary Ann may have been, I don't think so. But I have worked with the soil conservation, tried to get grants, and I went up there myself, in the condition I am, and went over that old Jacob's Ladder Road with the guys from Penn State. And that's how those specs that they wrote up, or that map they wrote up, is how they come up with that.
That was this year?
And the only thing they didn't do on that,
What year was that?
huh?
What year was that?
Last year,
Last year?
yeah.
About July. Is that why we got Chris Miller to do that kind of
When
garbage?
was it? July?
Pardon me?
Is that why you got Chris Miller to do that kind of garbage?
That's Jacob's
All
letter.
right.
Anyway, the Leech Creek Road,
On private property.
Don, you're right, on Leech Creek Road, you guys filed for the one map in '09, and then you went ahead and filed for the grant in '16 for different.
Who's
So-
to say you didn't have that done?
Let's go.
All right, we have a memorial maintenance committee, Kristen Potter and Lee Martin, just to make sure that everything for the Veterans Memorial remains in good condition, because trust me, that was a lot of work. And Riley's Eagle project was truly awesome, and the flower beds look good, and we had a wonderful Memorial Day service for those who attended. Is there anything else you'd like to say, Matt?
Yes, so as the borough for many years has not done anything other than have the lawn mowed to maintain that, many borough residents have put in their time and money to make sure it is taken care of. And this year, a lot of the money for the flowers was spent by our President Redden, which is a hardship for her as a widow. So I would like to make a motion that we reimburse Ms. Redden up to $250 when she provides receipts of flowers and other materials purchased for the Starrucca Borough Veterans Memorial.
You put that in motion.
Yes, I'll send it back to the motion.
Could you repeat that motion back, Ray?
So, Kristen Powder makes a motion to reimburse, and I'm sorry, I missed the name, $250 for flowers.
Up to $250.
$250.
That was President Redden.
Okay.
Does she have invoices that she can
She
present?
has receipts.
No.
Up to, and we'll provide the receipts for them.
Yes, and I did put that in the motion when she provides
Up
receipts.
to
No.
$250.
I don't want to.
Too bad. Motion on the
You
table.
deserve it.
I do it because,
We know.
Yes.
I'll second that motion.
You still need help with the roll call, whether you want to do that.
Yeah.
Ted,
Yes.
Yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
you're really no.
Kristen
You already should
Powder,
have
yes.
stayed.
I know, but no abstain. Anyway, moving right along. And I know you would do that.
It's all right.
We have a committee with Jack Down, Ray Woods, Bob Martin, and Dave Soden to try to find the ordinances and do some research and try to get all of the borough records so we can compile them. We go through the back here into storage and find out what we have, and if necessary, the attorney sent a very forceful letter to Laura and Debbie Travis saying, you must return all documentation. And also, Charlie said that he does not have the codes, a lot of what am I trying to think of here? Passwords. He doesn't have them, so we may have to do that, because he needs those passwords in some of the accounts, and they're just normal, they're not anything sinister, it's just something he needs to be able to print out.
Okay, if I can respond a little bit.
Sure.
Not so much on that, but I did get information from Laura Travis, sent it to me this morning, about what appears to be delinquent reports with the state on FERDA, Auditor General, SL, FRF, which you see is on the agenda as well. And Mr. Haynes called me and indicated that there was some concerns about us not being current in our filings and records. As a result of that, knowing the meeting was tonight, I called the number that was on this email from Laura Travis, DCED. They were very helpful. It was Jennifer Schmidt, from DCED. I have her phone number. She handles Wayne County. There are definitely issues with Starrucca Borough. They have not filed appropriate reports for these areas. Now, these are reports that pertain to last year, but they have to be filed this year, like by March or April or something.
And that's why we've asked over and over.
So now we're delinquent. Now, I asked BCD what's the effect of it. They told me if it wasn't done, you're gonna get caught for funding. So it's gonna seriously affect Starrucca Borough. We definitely need to look into this and get it taken care of.
The auditor is trying.
Okay.
My question is, are any of these things considered year-end reports?
Yes, my
Because,
understanding.
No, but they're due,
but she
No.
was hired to finish
No,
all year-end
no,
reports.
time out. They were not year-end reports as of December 31st. These were reports that were due, I think, the end of March and April.
But disregarding when they were due, they were to end December 31st, reports
let me read-
last
Oh,
year.
yeah, and if I remember correctly.
That was the-
In February, Darrell, you made a motion for Demi to finish all the year-end reports.
Okay, so do you want her to do these reports then?
Well, she was
Well, it
already
would be
paid.
nice for
No,
the
no, no.
files to have been
She's
delivered
delinquent on it.
properly.
She's the
She
lead.
got paid.
We never got any of the reports from last year for the 2021. Nothing was forthcoming to the secretary.
I just
saying
got a
this,
call.
this one, and this one.
I just got a call, I think it was Thursday or Friday, from the Auditor General. Same thing, our fire relief is in jeopardy. It was the last due date was March 31st. It was an end of the year report. One more time, the Travis has dropped the ball on us. Because you paid them to do the end of the year report instead of just letting this new secretary come on and do it. You put another kibosh in the
But then we
chain.
never got anything.
Now,
So-
the result of my phone call today was, I got numbers. Now, these people, look, they want compliance, that's all they want to do, they want to get things done. They said, listen, I'm giving you numbers, Ron, you get the right people to make these calls, get the records in. Actually, Ms. Travis sent me what looks to be numbers to be filled into these forms.
Isn't it odd that she's getting all this stuff now?
All I can tell you is, this is the email I got today, okay? I got it today as a result of that, knowing the meetings tonight, knowing how important it is to Starrucca, I made the calls. We need to address it.
Right, that needs to go to the secretary.
So can you give us that, so we can get it to the secretary and get these things moving forward?
Yeah, but it's got my notes on it. Jack, I'll tell you what, I'm going to copy it, I'll send it to you and Gail
Yes.
tomorrow.
Yeah, or,
Secretary?
and the borough secretary.
I'll send it to Ray and to Charlie, too.
Right, because then, like, as they say,
What do
the
you
end
have,
of the
four?
year, the end of the year reports.
You got 4 reports?
Yeah.
It's AG 385, PERDA. This looks like SLFRF. That's the phone number for DCED. That's the ones I called and got into the right, and then this is revenue, is PERDA. And
Right.
the Auditor General is AG. And these are the numbers, they'll help us do it. Here's numbers she gave me for, look, here's fire, real estate.
Yeah.
Here's total amount on SLFRF. I think these are numbers that would help us, but we gotta finish it.
What is this here, total amount, 17?
It looks, I don't know, from SLFRF, total.
Okay, so what is it, guys? What is that all about?
State and local fiscal recovery.
See, these guys handle this stuff.
That's
I know,
it.
it's right here on the agenda.
So how come we don't know nothing about this stuff? What's the big secret about it?
Jack, you were down redevelopment, and they explained it to you for now, because you don't understand it, don't look it
That's
up.
not redevelopment.
Right, but that's recovery.
Right, what do you mean, right?
But that's Recovery Act.
What was it?
What
How
is
much
the
money was
recovery
it? Where did it go?
What money did you get? When did you file for it? Now's the time to spill the beans. Because you got us out here.
I'm not secretary, so don't look at me. I didn't
What
Yeah,
was
I did. Back June, July, there was a secretary that filled it out. Don't look at me. Fill it out.
We're keeping stuff from us, Ron.
What was Debbie paid for if she was paid to do end of year reports and didn't do any end of year reports?
We should.
She did do in your reports.
What, but didn't come to us,
Which
didn't come to
ones?
the council, didn't come to the
She
secretary.
didn't do all of them apparently.
Yes, you did.
You know what?
You know what? You guys can do whatever you want to with the people that's working for the borough, whatever. There's gonna be a day of reckoning where Chris Miller or somebody like him isn't gonna be interested. And you're gonna have to find somebody else. Your options are very limited.
We got a whole community,
For somebody to work for the
It's
borough.
completely irrelevant to the somebody said.
Excuse me?
Not the secretary.
What is this?
It's a letter
Yeah.
that came from 4 Starrucca Borough Council members to Yale dated May 30th. And it says, these reports are due, it mentions them right here.
Right, but we didn't have the reports, we
They're
didn't
on
have
the
the.
website, they were on the website, and then you have.
The secretary has to
Right.
follow
He
that.
had the stuff that
But
they
they already
got.
had someone hired to do it.
Where are they? It's on the website.
They discussed that with me.
I'll give the program. You better understand.
But Laura has all that.
Yeah, but
Laura
we
has
don't
all
know how
that
much money's
information,
coming in.
because she sent it to
Oh,
us.
All the municipalities tell us that they get money from
First
that,
we can have.
but we don't know where the money went.
Contact her, she would provide you with all that.
But she should have already handed all that
Email
over.
saying
Mr.
the
Boucher
number.
sent her a serious letter. We're going to have to go further with
No,
that.
this isn't about handing it over. It's up on the website. The secretary down.
We need the original documents, we need the end of year reports, all of those things have to be forthcoming, so Mr. Boucher,
So, Mr.
Mr.
Haynes,
Boucher needs to send a letter to Laura and Denny saying all the end of year reports and all of the original documentation must be sent to the borough secretary.
there was no documentation of this SLFRF.
There should have been something from last summer.
I have.
Okay, what was it?
I have 2,600 photos.
All right, let's just back
Every
up.
document that I
We need the
presented.
documentation,
2019.
the original
The
copies.
documentation for that, appropriate 20.
Is that because they got, or we can
I
get?
believe that what we got.
Right, but she didn't give us any of that.
She turned it over. Because she took the records down around Boucher's office.
So,
It just
Mr.
happens.
Haynes, I respectfully disagree, since Dave and I sat in Mr. Boucher's office for 5 hours.
Yeah.
Took 2,600 photos of every document in the folders marked 2019, 2020, and 2021. And I guarantee you that there was no evidence of this loan in that documentation. Additionally, I saw nothing in the emails that I reviewed. Now, they held on to those records for 6 weeks. They were supposed to turn those records over 5 days after January 3rd. They got a big grace period, and then instead of following the letter of the law that Solicitor Boucher, sorry, I'm really tired, Solicitor Boucher sent, including mine and the code of the borough, to deliver the files to the secretary, they did not. They dumped them in a public stairwell and left them there. And Mr. Boucher was very clear that his staff had nothing to do with that. So they just left those files there over the weekend.
Yeah.
It was a Friday morning. I called them immediately, never touched them. You guys came down, I gave you full access to my whole library. Look at
You were very
You
accommodating.
were
Mr.
very
Boucher, thank
accommodating,
you.
that was wonderful. But we need those original documents.
These documents gotta be filed, these reports have to be filed.
Right, absolutely. So can you send, we need a very stern letter sent to Laura and Denny saying all of the end of year reports, all of the original documents must be forwarded to the borough address, the borough
And
secretary.
Gail, we need all information on this SL.
Right, that has to be included.
We want all
of the original
applications and all documents.
All documentation, we need that, because
Because
how
it's a
can
big
we follow through?
It's a big secret, there's no hiding it.
Well,
Darrell, you got a big secret about it. What was the money for? When did if the money come in? And if it did come in, what was it spent on? Can you answer those questions?
Was it flood control? What was it?
Did we get money?
Yes, we did.
How much?
Where did it go, though?
In general account.
How much?
I can't tell you right here without going back.
About how much do you think it would have been?
I'll say $8,000, give her, plus or minus.
Because see, Ron, the big thing is when Laura and Debbie was there, we would get the treasurer's report. And I can go back and show you on video. Several times I would ask, what is these deposits for? And Laura would always give me this BS story that's the way the program is, I can't find out what the deposits are for.
Didn't they identify the reports?
No,
She can't, I don't.
no, deposits. And then she puts on their
Split.
slip, was
Split.
Split.
it? Split. That's the only way to,
Where are the deposit slips that went into the bank?
if she just said splits and then it goes into the bank. So I, multiple times we questioned, what are all the deposits for? Now, she could have certain deposits if it was from taxes or from the state police or fines. So everything was always hidden on what's going on.
The problem is that she may not have those records. Can the bank get the microfilm records? Don't they microfilm checks for deposits? It's only a year ago. I mean, if you really.
Yeah,
have
so
to-
the Wayne Bank does provide a picture of the checks that were deposited in their bank statements. I don't believe the bank statements were shared. Additionally, Jack is referring to software that was used, which was not made available,
So what kind of software?
QuickBooks.
And passwords, you should have the passwords.
Right, well, that's what Charlie complained about. He doesn't have the QuickBooks password or anything.
And Charlie did say, it appeared to me that from after 17, like 18 on, that the borough computer was not being used.
The borough should have all prior records from any secretary,
Right.
treasurer, any.
Right, that's what we're
all the
saying.
records.
Because our hands are tied, because there's so many, these reports should have all been done.
They should have been done, filed, they should have been-
Right, we needed all of that.
So what state agencies can we get to come in and help us clean up?
I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what, I thought Gail had a good point at the first meeting I attended about joining the Pennsylvania Association of Boroughs. Didn't we join?
Yeah.
Can't somebody give me the name or the contact down there? I'll find out, I'll tell you. They have a lot of services. They have a solicitor service, they have help and all these other things. You give me the contact names, I'll get you the answers.
Sure, I believe, what was Ron's last name? He's the vice president over there. I spent some time talking to him.
Get me his name and number, I'll find out.
Borough, State Association of Boroughs, that's what you said.
Oh, it's in my book.
And they put that too.
Yeah.
You should join, that's important. You know what? You get like.
Oh, no, there's I contact the State Association of Boroughs all
It
the
was
time.
on the January 3rd meeting, and it did not get approved to be paid until, I want to say April. And so, you know, there were 4 months when we were trying to be,
Right.
for
They would-
$155.
And they're super big help, because I contact them all the time about various things, and they're super, super helpful.
They are,
If they
they're
don't
very
have
good.
the answer, they get it for you, so
They're
I'm
excellent.
very impressed with them, I utilize them all the time.
Get it to me.
All right, is there any other unfinished business?
So to get that contract from the COVID money, did somebody from council sign for it? Or is it all on the secretary? Did you sign for it, President Roman, when you were president?
I didn't sign for that. I wasn't aware. Yeah.
You're not aware of it?
Well, once we get the original documentation and everything, we should be able to get it from the organization. If we can't get it anywhere else, but Attorney Boucher is trying to send the letters and anything they have, including the passwords and all that, that will help a lot because we get all those records.
I'm lost. You're telling me the borough got money, and some of the council members didn't know anything about it?
You ever hear me admonition?
That's
You met Kurt, I don't know.
That's what it's-
You don't know about the grant or any money?
It was $8,000, but
Would
I don't
he have
know.
had to sign it as borough president at that time?
No, it was money that was applied for through all municipalities, through the secretary.
Somebody had to sign for it.
I don't believe so.
I do.
Okay, then-
Oh, yeah. Any contract has to be signed by the council president.
Check involved for the signature.
Right.
It was
Yeah.
electronic, but I do believe so.
So was that in the bank, was that deposit in the bank statements?
No.
It was not in the bank statements?
Yeah, the other thing, you stamp, sometimes you stamp them, you sign, you stamp them for deposit.
Right.
We did
But
that.
the application and everything, they, even if it was electronic, they will have a copy of who approved it and what it was for.
Did anyone get a letter from Thompson Township? Supposed to be sent,
Regarding?
prices change?
No, that, Charlie didn't have anything like that, I don't think. He would have mentioned it if he had something like that. He would have sent it with correspondence. So we'll have to look into that. Yeah, it would have been with correspondence. Okay, there's no other unfinished business. Under new business, Charlie's not here, he was talking about purchase of a laser writer for the borough, that's,
Yeah, he's got 4 of them with prices, but I don't know which one he wanted, so.
With the
Because it's so
secretarial
expensive.
turnover, was there a printer provided?
Oh, yeah, no, works great, and that's not the problem. His concern is that the ink is so expensive.
It's so expensive.
And he's doing
It's-
so much printing.
Yeah.
And I noticed that as well. It was like $91 for a
For what,
set.
and it doesn't last very long.
Laser
These are
writers
late.
tend to be more cost
They're cost
more
effective
efficient.
because you can
They'll
print
more.
Epic, so we give everyone copies of things and
So this
it's
is,
costing a lot of money.
this is just a motion to approve that. Do we
Right.
come up, how much were their prices?
Yeah, the prices range from,
He said he didn't care which
So
one.
can we say up
just-
to, we can make a motion to say
Up
up to,
to.
if that's.
they were $165 to $359 plus tax.
Yeah, they're not that expensive, but it's so, it saves you so much on ink. He said that you can print thousands of copies with this, whereas, you know, with the other, $90 per cartridge.
So these are
That's-
the.
It's a
What
no-brainer.
would you recommend, right?
Yeah, I mean, a laser printer is great. Any of those would be fine. I mean, those are all multi-function. You could even just get one that's
Lower
just.
price?
Where did you find the part? Was this on like?
This, no, he supplied that.
He- yeah, he
I'm
He
just
did a
wondering
lot of
if we make a
research.
motion, how much do we give him in allotment for at least that and a cartridge? or
So I would
whatever?
say somewhere in the 300 to 400 range, right? That would cover any of those and some extra
Let's say
supplies.
up to $400, including cartridge. Does that sound like a good thing?
UCC.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, do we have a motion to,
I'll make a motion to allow the secretary to purchase a laser printer,
laser writer
a laser writer,
for the...
I think the laser printer's fine.
Laser printer, okay.
laser printer, and a, I don't know, what do you call it?
Toner.
A toner with a price cap of $400 to be taken out of the UCC fund.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, Ted?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Jill Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
Okay, is there any other new
Jack, you
business?
were the second.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would like to know if Starrucca Borough would be willing to put something on the roads to cut the dust down. Last weekend, I noticed when I was hanging at Jacob's Ladder, if you go by Charlie Irese's house and the house on the corner, the dust from the roads just flew terrible to houses. Their houses here need some kind of coating on it. People from Cox Lake were walking out Jacob's Ladder Road, and four-wheelers come up the roads flying, and there was this dust flying all over the place. And isn't there, they used to use calcite, I know they use something different now. At least from Jacob's Ladder, Cox Lake intersection, down to King Hill Road, so Charlie's house doesn't get all the dust. Probably Robert Lillian's house, where there's dirt, if they're modified, maybe there's not the dust now, but where there's homes that do get all this dust, you can't even get the windows when it's dry.
Well, we used to do that in front of where there are homes. We always did
But
that.
past year, Struckenborough did it, but only Foxborough got it.
So that should be, any, you know, by the homes.
Well, there was
Yeah.
one Charlie's that I know.
Yeah.
No, Foxborough Road's the one that got it.
Could we entertain a motion of,
I don't know what they use.
I have to, you know, somebody had to look into it and.
I remember years ago, trucks used to come around and spread.
And I'm told that-
Jason, what do you guys put down, is there anything?
What's that? I'm told the prices have gotten.
Kelvin, here,
You had this
but still, we have to protect the citizens of the borough. I mean, not just you.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a copy back.
Yeah, no worries. I just wanted to know where it was.
And then I'll get a copy back over to you guys.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda for the purpose of hiring Johnson Township and Picus Excavating to do road work for Strucca Borough, for the borough roads. And you need to have, get Chris Noor to fill some potholes.
You already have a contract for 2023 with Picus and Thompson Township. It's in there, in the minutes.
Not with Picus and Elmore.
Not Picus, but with
Thompson,
Township.
you have one.
Right.
And Preston.
For Leach Creek, Toxin Lake, Jacob's Ladder, and Ross with Thompson.
Yeah, and that goes till 2023, so you already have their contract.
Right, but I would like to extend to the other roads with Thompson, beyond those 4 roads that are a contract for.
Well, how can you change it? We're already under contract. Until
By
May of 2023.
by amending the contract.
Do we have?
Well, let's see the contract before you amend it, if they're willing to go along with it.
I don't think we have a binding contract, do we?
With Thompson?
Yeah.
You must have, because it's in the minutes that you extended.
I'm certain there is with Thompson.
But where it
There's
is, I
only 2
wouldn't have.
signatures.
Pardon?
There's only 2 signatures.
What does that mean?
There should be 4.
Not that, right?
All right, let me read this back because I think I got confused here, and you can correct me. So Darrell Haynes makes a motion to amend the agenda to enter into a contract with Thompson and Bill Pikus for Leach Creek, Coxton Lake, Jacob's Ladder,
Bucks
and
Falls,
Bucks Road, right?
yeah.
Bucks Falls Road.
Stefano, Fairmount, Kellogg, Penn Hill, and Carpenter. The current contract with Thompson is just for Leach Creek, Bucks, Jacob's Ladder, and Coxton.
So you have copies of those contracts then?
I don't. I'm not secretary. I don't keep contracts. Thompson Township's got them, and they should be in the borough records. But I'm not secretary. I don't keep these contracts.
Right, but that's what we need to get.
So the only contract that I seen in the 2020 records when I was looking at stuff, Ron,
I'll second.
was a contract that just Kirk and Demi signed, nothing from Thompson Township in the 20 stuff. Because I was looking for the stuff for Ron, he had about 2 months ago.
Maybe your former solicitor has copies of these contracts. One thing I was gonna recommend to you, if you guys sent me a lot of this stuff as solicitor, I maintain files, that's what lawyers do, they maintain files. You can always get it when you want it, for me, pretty easily. Maybe your lawyer has it. I'd like to see approved minutes and different things like that. I'll create a good file, and if you need it, you got it.
Do you guys check with Beardsley? To see if he's got stuff on file?
I haven't, no.
Did you ever give stuff to Beardsley?
Pardon?
Did you give stuff to Beardsley to keep on file, like Ron's asking?
I did
Back the
myself.
last 6 years.
I did it myself.
Kirk, you were president, you were controlling things.
Was this motion voted on yet?
No, and Don seconded?
Discussing.
You seconded, Don? Yes, I did. Yes. Okay. I'm just like verifying. Yeah, right.
You made a generic motion, but what is you reconstructing a contract to?
And what's the fee, and how much are they being paid? Is that an hourly fee?
And who's doing what work, where?
It's an hourly rate, and depends on the price of diesel, or what the hourly rate's gonna be. Thompson.
Jason, didn't you say Thompson Township was sending new rates?
He told me that you already sent it to the PO box.
Then you should wait to see
I don't
what the
understand
rates
the
There's already a
are.
motion and a second on the floor.
Can you vote on a contract when you have like no prices or anything?
You have no contract? Yeah.
Don't you have to have that information? How can you vote on something without knowing the particulars of the contract?
Because they're changing their rates, so we need to wait until we get those rates, right?
Can you,
Is that
I don't understand how you
You
can
know
vote.
what you're getting into.
Right.
Right, I don't understand
But
how
it
you can.
depends which month they do the work, Ron, of what it's gonna be this year. I mean, it's just crazy.
So their
You can-
contract is just gonna
you can
say
get
the
price
price
in
is
March.
whatever we say.
It won't be valid in June. I mean, costs have went up so high that it's hard.
We all know it.
For everything.
Well, Ron, the way they've been doing contracts, like with Chris Miller and everything, they just gave a contract when I would ask what the rate was, they didn't know.
Verbal.
They entered more contracts.
You should enter in a contract when you know the terms.
Right.
The
Telling
terms
you
should be.
what-
Right, and so that's what the attorney just said, so we should not vote for this until we have the specifications of how
So
much.
who have you talked to that's willing to give us a contract, Carl? Come on, spill the beans, get us all on board so we can get this done.
Jack, I'll have the information for you at the next meeting. How's that?
No, like right now, let's get it done. If you got something that you know we can get done, let's get it done. Roads are in a horrible.
Hey,
All right.
I don't have the paperwork for a contract in front of me, I'm sorry.
All right, there's a motion on the floor. Either rescind the motion or
Okay.
table.
I'll make a motion to rescind my motion.
Okay. And then when we get the Thompson Township,
I'd like to be able to get rid of it.
all right, please do. And then,
I'll get one from Thompson, Chris Miller, and,
right, and as far as how much, then we can put it in the contract, as our attorney says, you need to
All
go.
these contracts.
Right, and make a final contract so that we have copies of the secretary.
Let me just ask this. Like, this is so stupid and so bizarre going on. So Gail makes a committee of a road committee, all right? We got a road committee. Dave was on it, I was on it, Keith's on it.
Keith's on it.
So now, Darrell, you're doing all the business still, behind closed doors. Why is that?
There's discussion.
And then the other thing I want to bring up, I asked Keith, I stopped and talked to him, 3-4 weeks ago, Keith?
No, 2.5.
About discussing about the roads. We had some brush up on Stefano Road that needs to be off, and Keith refuses to talk to me. He says he don't want
You
to.
brought up Carpenter Road, and I stated, if you had an issue, talk with the state. They're the ones that allocate liquid fuels. You definitely have their number.
Yep.
I stated, if you didn't like their responses, there was nothing I could do
Yep.
for you.
And I
You
also
talked about
stated
the
to
old
you,
community hall roof, and you discussed that sluice.
yep, and I also said,
Well, then
are you not
I
going to
hear
discuss
you.
nothing about the roads with him? You said no, and you walked back over.
No, because you were talking about Fairmount, and I stated, if you had an issue, call redevelopment.
They're all roads, Keith.
I don't have an issue, you're the one with the issue, therefore,
Right.
wait,
Chill.
sorry, ma'am.
I don't have an issue. You don't want to live outside closed doors still.
Okay.
I would like to know if the council can take any actions on putting a surface, something on the roads to keep the dust down. Nothing was brought, they just talked about it, forgot.
Right, but we don't have any prices, and.
No, he's
But
saying
even so,
look into the
this is
prices.
something, the safety of the community. Like Charlie Iris
We don't
has
have,
as visible
price.
as.
We don't have a contract in
Health
front of us, how
problems.
can we do it without a pricing contract?
Don't you have to take a motion to look into it or anything?
Just look at it.
This is something that's gotta
Okay,
be
I
done
make a
now,
motion,
not July.
I make a motion that I understand where you're coming from, yes.
Right.
Yeah, I wasn't trying, I thought somebody could just look into it like looking.
You
into
can,
the
if you want to look into it.
But I will make a motion that the borough look into pricing and contractors with regard to putting down, what's the product, anti-dust?
Dust control.
Anti-dust control.
You can see, Madam President, that we have a road committee, and that the road committee should be able to gather this information, present it to Borough Council with a recommendation, and Borough Council can take that list in specifics, and then act on that recommendation.
And Dave,
Do I hear a second on that motion?
that the
You
road committee.
need a motion before you can make.
Yeah, I'll second
Bring it to the council, let's see you all say this, make a recommendation.
What is the motion again when you're done?
All right, so Keith makes a motion for the borough to look into pricing and contractors in regards to anti-dust control.
Okay.
Make that the road committee look into it.
Yes,
And
I'll
present a
amend
recommendation.
it. I'll amend that to put road committee
And present a recommendation.
and present a recommendation to council.
So start off to help do that.
No.
I just said to him, amend the agenda, you have a
Do
problem
we
with
have
that?
do we have a second?
So Keith, are you willing to work with me and
I'm
Dave?
willing to
on road
look
committee?
into it. You look into it, I'll look into it, then we'll come together and we know the numbers are on par.
Did we get a second yet?
No.
Second.
Oh, I'll second it.
All those in favor, Ed?
Yes.
Kurt Road, yes.
Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
I make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I second it.
All those in favor, Ed?
Yes.
Yes. Darrell Haynes, yes.
Keith Payne, yes.
Gail Redden, yes.
Jack, yes.
Kristen Potter, yes.
And we probably went to that one.
until June 24th.
Yeah. You did a nice job to keep people on track. It's important to keep people on track. I'm just going to say this question to the two of you right now. It's the smart comments that I think that's what you were just making on my this for years. You get all my problems. They just share my They just you're smart in the sense of